Give me one sec. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, I am attempting to pull the stream up. I'm gonna set up a little poll, and yeah, yeah, here we go. Hey, what's going on, Mohammed? Good to see you. Cool. We got a poll launched. I'm first, bro. Hey, the first will be last. Isn't that what it's in the Christian Bible? I'm just doing a little quick Saturday stream. A little Saturday stream, I think. Yeah. Hanging out. Hanging out. And yeah, so since you're the first one here, you get to determine whatever it is we talk about today. You get to determine what we talk about. Yeah. I want to go work out. I want to go work out in a little bit. I haven't been working out. I've just been sitting in my chair. And so that's one of the things I'm doing next. But yeah, who knows? Yeah, but as you guys are tuning in, if you guys want to tap the like button, I just published a new blog. Donald Trump announced that alongside the state of Nigeria, there was an attack in basically the U.S. and Nigeria took out the second in command in ISIS, and the leader of ISIS in Nigeria. People should know Nigeria is a very religious country. There are, for the 200 plus million people, there are about 200 million plus people who follow Abrahamic religions. And so who knows? Yeah. It's about half Muslims, half Christians or so, more or less, give or take. And yeah. And so I published a Substack on my website, but if you guys want to talk about evidence-based politics, like I wanted to know about the Holy Spirit. I don't know about it. I can tell you, I'm a former Catholic. I'm a former Catholic, but I'm an atheist. So, but yeah, the Holy Spirit is one of the ways God interdicts on earth. There's several Bible verses that when they talk about God, God is mentioned in the Bible as having two forms or two beingnesses. And so Trinitarians, people that believe in the Holy Spirit, may reference these verses that show God simultaneously in two forms. They may talk about, Jesus's actions on dying on the cross, or just the unbelievability of a story like, I don't know, the resurrection story for Christians. They might say that, well, it's unbelievable that God would, just be in one place there. Hey, shout out to you in Assam, India. What's up, Simon? Hi. Oh, yeah. And so I don't know, but I would go to if you want to learn about Christianity, I would go to a Christian channel. They'll tell you better. They'll tell you can be saved, you can convert. Join the tribe. Join the tribe, bro. Your time's up. Hey, what up, Soldier Boy? Soldier Boy, tell him. Hell yeah. Let's go. Soldier Boy, tell him. Yeah, but one of the things to know about the U.S. attack, the U.S. So you'll see geopolitical analysts, you'll see people say the word slaying sometimes. Slaying is a very popular word when there's a terror group like ISIS who's taken out by the U.S. military. There's political actors, all kinds of stuff. Do you watch The Boys? No, I don't watch. I didn't watch The Boys. I thought it was a Zack Snyder show. I watched like a couple episodes and it wasn't really for me on Amazon Prime. Yeah, it wasn't really for me. I made my little pizza pockets and whatever, and then it was just I wasn't that excited about it. But yeah. Jesus, someone saying, hey, there you go. Hey, Matto, someone was asking about the Holy Spirit. I don't personally believe that there was a Jesus who died on any cross, right? There are lots of people that died on crosses, but Christianity seemed to just support that, endorse it, Hey, we'll reinvent it, right? We'll be industrious. We'll do it our own way. We'll be industrious. Um, yeah, we'll be industrious. Qatari jet named uh, Emolument One. I don't know what that means. Other things. Sorry. Scared of Werewolf says, "Don't mute me. I actually would like to propose a dude on dude makeout session, non-gay, of course." Cool. Hey, shout out to you. That's sick. Yeah, no problem. Um, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we're very tolerant and accepting. So I know I'm just saying that not because I had that thought or would have that thought. I'm just saying it because some people are not. Ease up on the TDS. Your ignorance is showing. Glenn, go read my blog, right? Go read the Substack. It's the first link on my profile. But yeah, Glenn, if you support Donald Trump, tell me today, very present. Why don't you tell me about counterterrorism? Glenn in the history of counterterrorism. Glenn in the history of IR theory. Let's see Glenn the voter vote. Let's see Glenn the voter vote. Howdy, says somebody. Hey, what's up, partner? We got Bao Buns. Hey, Bao, what's up? Bao Buns, your beard is weird. Yeah, everything's weird. I'm falling apart. The internet, I told you guys, I'm like a puppy. Your favorite streamer, guys like me, Duck, we're like puppies, and if you don't take care of us, we fall apart. And so that's the end of it. Yeah, my beard is weird. My hair is weird. I have to douse my hair in hairspray. Otherwise, you guys don't watch. I think that's it, right? I think that's it. But anyways, yeah, I think that Jesus is in heaven, but not dead. But he was killed. He was killed by God, lifted by God. So wouldn't Jesus have been killed by God too? I guess I don't know. Lifted, killed, whatever it is. Yeah, but yeah, you know, one way of analyzing the U.S. terror strikes and ISIS is to say that yeah, there's like rational choice theory, there's presumptions, assumptions about rational actors, and so people wonder what world is seen by different actors all the time, right? This isn't, and this it took until the 1980s for this to be recognized in the United States by groups like the CIA. Prior to this, a lot of it was sort of centered around executive control of the White House. Executive being a technical term for the government. So knowing the difference between technical terms and superstitions is important in geopolitics, but President Trump doesn't. You know, President Trump has playthings, President Trump has shiny objects, and this is partially because he's a neoconservative. So for him, it's whatever the flavor of the day is in the U.S. interest is probably what he's going to be supporting. Will religion be removed completely ever? Like people become more free? Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I don't know. You know, Auguste Comte, there's people that have these teleological stories. Teleologically means there's a purpose or a point or a journey. It ends someplace. And so like Comte would tell us that, yeah, at some point, first you got rid of supernatural thinking when people said, well, volcanoes must be God, right? Volcanoes explode, there's loud thunder and lightning. This must be a god or gods acting. And then it became metaphysical, right? There are superstitions about, well, these things can still happen because the universe is punishing you. Or, you know, there's only some significance, but stay away from it, or you got to get closer to it. And then what do you feel about it, right? This is religious and metaphysical thinking. And so Comte said eventually you have secular scientific thinking. And yeah, our brains just, I think the reason this idea fails, that you don't have a purpose that leads you away from non-physical or non-material reality, right? In reality, it's because this is partially how our brains work as human beings. And so like my advice is like, not even saying like, okay, if you're a science guy, you're like me, you're super big into science. My advice would be reflect back on 5 years ago. You know, I'm 36 years old. If I reflect back to 5 years ago and think about things I did that were really important to me, my top descriptions and where those descriptions go of those events have nothing to do with science or science-based reality. Some of it does, right? I remember learning about network economics. I remember learning about technology and graphs and different database types and stuff back then too. But in the present day, I think I'd be foolish to say that those things are anything else. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Will religion be? Let's see, John. Someone's doing Bible verses. Hey, Julius. I don't know. You're calling me babe, so I'm gonna scroll down. Thank you, though. Appreciate it. Hey, what's going on? We have another, apparently a Chinese, our favorite Chinese propaganda troll account or something like this. I don't know. Trump eats sloppy herds. Cool. Cool. Pro-elitism ducky is weird. Hey crew, what's going on? Yeah, crew having opinions about anything that's not crew is weird. Trump is bro crazy. Trump is weird. I'm gonna scroll down, guys. You guys can tag me at DucksY if you want me to respond to something. I know I'm not that far up, but brother, when do you sleep? I was watching you late last night. Yeah, I'm on internet time. Like I said, I'm like a puppy if you guys don't take care of me. Send super chats, send jewel gifts, all these types of things. I don't do that well, so you guys have to take care of me. I look like Jesus. Holy God. Hey, thanks, Melissa. I appreciate it. I'm a person too. You don't have to objectify me, but yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. I think I don't know. I don't know who Jesus is. Jesus probably never existed, so I don't exist. That's awesome. Meth and whatever work. Yeah, some would say. Some would say. Brother, when do you sleep? I already read that. Lazy eye. I don't know what that means. Lazy eye. Why wouldn't you have eyes? I would imagine one has eyes. And if you want it to be something else, why is it? Make it your business then, right? Make it your business. You guys want to ask about my eyes and all this stupid bullshit. Make it your business. Cool. Hey, there's you, buddy. No, I can't. Yeah, my mom, my mom and dad are going to insist I brush my teeth, I jump in the shower and all this other stuff. Sick. Cool. I can't help. I can say it, but I can't do anything to help. Awesome. Congrats. Please do explain why you're pro-vaccination when studying. Crew, get the fuck on my channel today, dude. If that's all you're going to say here, go watch the shorts. Go watch the shorts. Go watch the videos. If that's all you're going to say on the channel. Hey, are you homeless? I don't know why you would ask me if I'm homeless. It appears I'm in a space. What do you guys want? You guys want to go back to a return of me talking about having a 15-foot vaulted ceiling in an extra room in my house? What? You guys want me to produce another reason why you guys can send, inauthentic, repetitive streamers more money? Cool. Whatever you guys are going for. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Congratulations. Great job, everyone. Great job on social media. Great job on the internet project, douchebags. Why is it always the ducks? They blame the ducks. You look kind of... Hey, cool. Thanks, Sinister Syndicate. Shout out to you. Do you want some donation? You need support? Yeah, support your favorite streamers if you guys want to donate here. I have fun, guys. Yeah, you guys are curious about money all the time, right? Everybody's so different. It's the West and the rest in geopolitics. In geopolitics, it's called McWorld, right? It's the West and the rest. Everybody's so interested in money, though. Boy, so crazy. You guys are also, we're all so different. Yeah, we're all so different. And so, yeah. But yeah, a lot of your favorite streamers, some people are happy to go live for 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. You make $5-10. And yeah, that's definitely not enough in the US. So yeah. So you want me to give you some money. I don't know who you are, but here, and I'm just gonna move you out of the fucking chat. So yeah, you guys, it's your chat room. Make your own channel. If that's what you guys want to do, go make your own subreddit, right? Go learn something. It's free to set up a subreddit. Any man who isn't a nationalist should speak about politics or world affairs. Yeah, I don't know how you would justify that. I don't know how you would justify that. Nationalism produces irrationality. It produces politics without explanation. Nationalism makes it impossible to have conversations with people in an informed way. So everything is on your terms. So everything is on your terms or something like that, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me, I guess. But yeah. It seems like plain spoken English in the age of the internet to say that, yeah, I mean, if you can talk to people and you're not taking a dominance position, you're not taking an authority position, you're not asserting a social hierarchy, you're not doing any of this stuff, and you're the one who, yeah, come back to a slogan. Yeah, X-Man reference. What up, John? Hey, good to see you. Yeah, and so you guys don't want to take a hierarchy opinion or whatever. Who knows? But it's very strange, right? Because you guys would insist you're recognized as people in the world. You're going to have your own political beliefs and stuff like this. And yeah, yeah. Hierarchy, yeah, social hierarchy. So you could say social hierarchies are part of evolutionary psychology or evolutionary systems where we self-organize. It's described, right, for you guys, for guys, girls out there dating, there's something called selecting down too, right? We look at mating habits, right? So you guys like this stuff. So you guys have your favorite OF or Fansly girls, right? You guys are doing all that stuff too, I would just assume. But yeah, you wanted to be treated like a person. So, guys like me, you guys look at me, I'm a simp, I'm kind of a nerd. Hey, what's going on, Duke? Yeah, maybe I probably was, right? I troll on my main, right? I don't troll. I don't think I troll, but I'm on my main, right? People can just, if I'm in a chat room or it's someone I either know or I don't know or whatever, I'm trying to support another streamer or something. Yeah, I can just get banned. But yeah, so ugly guys like me you don't go talk to the hottest girl at the party. Ugly guys like me, right? We select ourselves, and there's no reason for this, right? When we look at just what a brain is, what a body is, right? It may be, you would say on the level of society, it is a material fact that it would be delusional for me to try to pick up on a chick that's a 9 or a 10. I wouldn't be able to do that. But it is also delusional for me to say that, yeah, this is like a metaphysical truth in the world. This is just what reality produces, because there's no reason for that. If you go back far enough, we all share common ancestors, common genes and stuff like this. But you basically wake up in the morning from your dream state and remember that, yeah, these 9, 10 chicks in the world, you have no shot with them. And yeah, and so so political scientists will also look at this type of thinking and wonder, well, is it just the case that we choose irrational systems to structure our society in? We use economic thinking. At the end of it or something, we use our language instead of, it looks like a person is just thrusting their body, into a brick wall softly, right? They just boom. Hey, here's my opinion. Boom. Here's my political belief. Boom. And then you let the world decipher it, right? So someone comes in and says, well, Duck is pro-science, he's pro-vaccine, and I say, yeah. And their position or opinion on this is that's not true. And I say, yeah, that's simply not true, right? And so it's like you're throwing your body at me and I'm supposed to then interpret whatever it is, whatever you know or mean in your head, you don't want it to come out. You attend to me, bro. Thanks, Ranger. Women also respond to personality too, bro. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I feel repulsed and disgusted that someone's providing me relationship advice in the chat. Evolutionary biology. Yeah, evolutionary biology may focus on the underlying genetic and genomic causes. It may focus on metabolic system pathways, disease processes. It may also focus on morphology, right? So an evolutionary biologist may wonder why there's tall and short humans, right? Or they may ask about, well, look, there's lots of research into creating fair economic outcomes, irrespective of if someone has ADHD or neurodivergence of any kind. And so what's the actual basis? Are there stories on the basis of having, having Down syndrome, or a story about having, autism or something that goes back to time before you? Who would know, right? Who would know? Lack of confidence is mostly the problem. Lack of testosterone. Yeah, you should probably never talk about relationships on the internet. Flexing your Snickers is kind of black coded. I don't know what that means. Yeah, if you guys are saying black coded, please never download Tinder. If you say something that looks like flexing your Snickers is kind of black coded, I don't know what that means. Never download Tinder, never go to Plenty of Fish, never date, never procreate, etc. Right? No confidence, game over. Okay, irrationality is the bane of humanity. Yeah, I disagree. So this comment says irrationality is the bane of humanity. If one irrationality wants the world to believe in his ideology, then that's where the problem starts. I'm not sure if this is like, you've got the troll picture, the yapping picture, but yeah, why does your rationality have to be about something like political ideology, right? I have my cup of coffee. I prefer black coffee. I prefer black coffee to coffee with creamer. I prefer cold coffee to hot coffee. There's no reason or rationality to this. You might say, well, you've got taste buds. Well, that doesn't make sense because my taste buds also can eat hot food. I eat hot lasagna, but the fact that I eat hot vegan lasagna, but the fact that I eat black coffee or something like this, uh, bro eats. So I think you're doing identity politics. I think what I imagine this is either you have no politics, or it looks like from the statement, supposing into you because you're prescribing something that you believe. It looks like you've been deeply affected by identity politics and you can't voice. The statement isn't capturing your authentic belief, right? There's no authenticity there. Fake, never got it, never got COVID. Yeah, that's a conspiracy theory. So cool. Where's your PS2? I have no idea why you would ask someone in 2026 about their PS2. That's a very strange statement, but yeah, why don't you dig up what you mean by that and formulate it in English? Hey, was he wondering, have you read any, I don't know who that is. Women Love Me, Speak for Yourself. Cool. What's going on, Mansour Rascal? Yeah, good for you. Yeah, shout out. Same here. Yeah, same here, he says. Can I share a thought of the day? Sure. Hey, what's going on, Truly J? Redditor, ha 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 ha. Yeah, you don't seem like you've earned that, Mansour Rascal. It seems like you're asking others to take care of stuff. So, back to this idea of selecting down, an example of this as well is that why are women, people like JFK Jr., John F. Kennedy, who was supposedly really bad in bed. He was supposedly a philanderer. He would cheat on his wife. All these things. So you're not skilled or talented sexually, and you also cheat on your wife. So you have two things that at least the norm or the trope that we would say is on average, most women would say you're disqualified for the cheating, right? For the cheating, most likely. But who knows, right? Who knows? Whatever comes first in that sort of engagement or relationship could be anything. But yeah. But there's still obviously JFK was rumored, and I don't know if there's evidence of it, but rumored to have slept with the most beautiful and coveted woman in the United States at the time, right? So, and so you see, so to me, when you say Redditor, it's like, well, you're just throwing it down, saying that you're happy with a fetishization that already exists or something like that. Why are you happy with a fetishization that already exists? Doesn't make sense. You're providing a platform where people can have diverse views. Respect for you. Yeah, cool. I don't care that you have respect for the platform. I've had the channel for 2 years. That's not actually nice. That's just being, it's another way of you asserting your opinion over others and ensuring it's heard, right? But why? Why not ask something evidence-based or something gentle, nice, subjective, right? It takes gentleness to be intelligent. If you're not gentle, you're not intelligent. It's very simple. Right? There's never been a smart person who wasn't gentle. Mistakes are meant to guide you, not define you. I have no idea what that means. My thoughts on the Iran war. Yeah, the Iran war is I don't believe it's a justified war. The focus has been since March now that President Trump alluded that he wants to eliminate the ballistic capabilities in Iran. This sounds, in practical terms, this sounds like prolonged bombing, which would attract too much geopolitical attention. So it sounds like George Bush's city on a hill narrative, right? The city on a hill narrative for Iraq and Afghanistan back in the war on terror, back in the war against Iraq and Afghanistan, whatever you wanted to call it. Yeah, they did go after Saddam. They did go after the Taliban, which was not a internationally recognized government at the time. But yeah, the city on the hill said, well, we're going to turn Iraq and Afghanistan into democracies, and you're going to choose this, right? People organically choose democracies, and so it must be like this, right? You come in with Abrams tanks, you come in with air support, and you come in with a forward deployed, infantry unit, basically. And then, and what happened is it never evaporated, right? Democracy wasn't viable or sustainable. There are reasons political scientists may have suggested this, such as different social structures, just hierarchies that you observe, irrespective of what's belies them, as well as economics, right? If you don't have any of the hardware to support a rich Western-style civil society, you're not going to have any style of democracy at the end of the day, not for long. And so, yeah. So the Iran war, but to say that this is idealistic thinking, to say that just like we can turn these into democracies, you can demilitarize a nation state. A lot of people say, well, I have no idea what that actually means. If you want to demilitarize a nation state, you would have to convince them or coerce them to build a pacifist or neutral constitution, right? A pacifist constitution. So Donald Trump, like many neoconservatives, like many nationalists, wants to spend your tax dollars killing people you've never met. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's his level of delusion, irrationality, not even looking at the correct evolutionary system that produces wars like Iran. I'm so traumatized after Kirk's death. Proud MAGA supporter. Cool. I'm gonna ban you next time you say something like that. I don't need that here. Oswald Spengler declined in the West. Perhaps, yeah. I don't know why you guys. I don't know why. There's people in chat who are not chatting, and so when you guys put your messages down, maybe it's fun and enjoyable for some people, but you're also just dominating the conversation. It doesn't need to be that way, guys. So I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you supporting the channel growth. If you guys like politics, you guys like videos with AI, with good editing, HD, good audio, you guys can subscribe, check out the shorts. It's a little healthier for your algorithm, right? Everything here is evidence-based. It's scholastic or academic. It's meant to be accessible to people who knows, you have a PhD or a master's degree, or you don't have a high school diploma. Cool, say that, right? You guys don't have to talk about Charlie Kirk boners or something like that. I get it, right? You can just say, hi, what's up? Introduce a topic. It's not that I don't know that you guys don't know about what I know about. It's just that if you say hi, I'm not going to assume I know you or something like that, right? That's a form of gentleness. It's not that I'm a teacher. It's that I can start a conversation and I can guide it, right? I'm a teacher in as much as I know that if you guys support Donald Trump or you guys say things like Zionism, when is that political, right? When is it nationalist politics? When is Zionism about ideology or philosophy? Does a person actually, like Benjamin Netanyahu, when you're going to these industrial scale wars, is it true, right? Are you guys doing a disservice? Is it true they look down at these textbooks and they look up and they say, okay, this is probably what this is at this time? That doesn't make any sense. It seems like it's coded anti-Semitism. Not very deeply coded, and it's surface level, right? It's surface level, but it's deeply ingrained in your bones that your language and your speech represents an anti-Semitic position that has no basis in reality. You hurt me, little bro. I used to watch you every stream. Watch it. Cool. Well, enjoy it. But I don't know you in real life. You don't know me in real life. I appreciate you guys being here. The mods that are normally here know that I appreciate you guys. I'm super grateful. And the where that extends to and stops is that if you guys give me something to work on, I'm happy to spend 4 hours editing a video. I'm not happy to get to know you guys personally because I don't know you. It's the internet, right? So you guys don't know me. I don't know you. And I work my butt off to make content and to engage in these surface level relationships, right? Myron Gaines doesn't care about you. Andrew Tate never cared about you. These people that meet up in the IRL and then end up getting into fights or there's drama, they don't actually care about you, right? They care about their brand. They care about their content. They care about competing. So I'm not going to do you a disservice and lie to you and say that, well, I'm trying to be your best friend IRL streamer. There are people who provide that sort of relationship space, interesting, fun conversations, engagement, but I'm not going to tell you my life story, my backstory. If you guys try telling me that stuff, you guys try to dox yourself, any other TOS stuff, you guys will just get banned off the channel. And guess what? I will feel a little bit bad about when I hide people, when I ban people off the channel. I do feel a little bit bad about it, but there is no love lost, right? There is no love lost if there's a better place on the internet for you to go be yourself. And if that's hierarchical behavior, if it's this tribal behavior, cool, go do it someplace else. Gentleness, right? This is evidence-based politics. So you can do politics and also be gentle enough to be smarter. LeBron is, yeah, I don't know what you are saying, but if you guys like the Cavaliers, the Lakers, LeBron has a legendary story. I've obviously got Michael Jordan back up there. And so, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know that much about basketball. I collect 90s basketball cards. Do you know Epstein? I don't. Do I know of the Epstein files? Yeah, Jeff Epstein had a conviction in the 2000s for these perverse sex crimes, and yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah, good. Right. If you're a chivalrous gentleman, we'll get back to the relationship stuff. If you guys are a chivalrous gentleman or something like this, that's awesome. Correctly interpreting that behavior, correctly interpreting that also means, right? It doesn't mean like I respect women. It may mean that you are comfortable as a male, not meeting a partner, not meeting a mate, not forcing yourself or them into a situation, right? And it's not about physicalness. It can just be about emotions. It can be about how our brains wrap around a change of entering into a relationship. So chivalry is not a bad thing, but you don't have to say I respect women, right? You don't have to you don't either have to accept or even look at like internet tropes and stuff like that. In my opinion, I think it's also perfectly fine to just be a guy who, yeah, whatever. You're not in a rush. You're living your own life. It's not that you say you have your own thing because you obviously have 2 feet standing on planet Earth. But yeah, yeah. How are you so smart? You read books, articles, or skim videos from other YouTubers. I have a degree from a U.S. university. So U.S. universities are highly regarded around the world. Even in the U.S., just to tell you what it's like, is some people might make fun of like a silly college degree, or state schools are looked down on or aren't as prestigious in all cases, unless there's some reason why that would be the case. But this is also an illusion, right? Every university in the U.S. is pretty much high quality. Trump tried to start a Christian for-profit university to learn to be like Trump. And this was a very poor plan. And so you say so smart. I don't know what that means. I have a U.S. education, and like, yeah, it sounds stupid to say, bro, how are you so smart? Well, I've read 100 books in my life, right? If you read 100 books, and that's not even that many, but if you read 100 books in your life, you'll also be smart. And then if you read 100 books and you write essays on them, or you do your homework, you get good grades, you'll also be smart by whatever you mean from it. And then other people will be condescending and say you have no common sense. And yeah, those people probably should live in a trailer park, right? You should never have a relationship where you manage another person. And yeah, right? Who knows? It is a fact in the world that U.S. universities are good. It's a fact that there's other good school systems in the world. And yeah, just having gone to that thing means you have gone to it. But yeah, when you want to be tribal or whatever, and you say, well, education's not a lever for peace. Well, yeah, it's because you're one of these dumb red pill guys that wants to join the CIA. Go for it, buddy, right? You're okay, badass. You wanted to be a badass. Let's see you be a badass, right? You want to join the CIA? You want to go join the US military or some bullshit? Go do it then, right? Go tell them all about your hopes and dreams and aspirations about education and how you feel about smart guys. Because guess what? There's probably a lot of people where you'll be that will listen to you. And when you get out, you're going to complain just like everyone else. Everybody has complaints. Not everybody complains, but you probably will, right? And the fact that you feel that you can be alpha or dominant and make the world a worse place because of your feelings, that to me doesn't make you alpha. And yeah, guess what? The way the world works is you're going to be considered as time goes on. So what's your degree in? Political science. Yeah. Political science. I did honors college, so that was kind of cool. I did honors college, little thing, but it meant I got to take classes. This was what was cool to me. I could sign up for courses early. Some people love that. It was fine because I could work around my work schedule, so it was very realistic for me. And then I also got to take classes. I took a 500 level, like a master's level common law class back in the day. I also got to be in lecture halls with like 10 people. So I had classes with 50 to 100 people, all 100 of us learning about the European Union or something like this. Then I also had 10 person classes learning about nation building and stuff like this. So, and in those honors classes, yeah, in a class with 10 people, I would be in class doing my sort of core topic of political theory, but we would have mathematicians. There was a Fulbright scholar, right? We would have physics majors. We would have people doing business majors, all in the same class, learning the same course material. So just that diverse environment where there's respect, people show up, they care about what they're doing, they're taking it seriously. That matters a lot more. How many books do you read a month? Not that many. Yeah, I don't read that much now. I do content, so I stay up. If somebody wants to send a red super chat, that buys me space to consider doing things, not just like fulfilling my library again, right? Getting $3 used copies, $6, $7 used copies of books off eBay. But that's where I am at financially. Is I could go to a library, but the library doesn't really have the types of books we do on the channel. I looked. And so, yeah, when you guys support me, I can consider buying used books. There's a big difference to me at this point because I'm very broke. I'm a very low value male. But yeah, I have no money. I have no prospects. I'm depressed most of the time. I wake up out of bed. I smell bad. I haven't showered in 2 days. I eat vegan foods, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it. And yeah, I used to work out every day and now I don't, right? I still have a working out every day neck, and etc. and the whatnot, but I don't have anything else. Yeah. So yeah, so if you guys want to support me though, yeah, good books, you guys can find good books on eBay. Yeah, it is shipping, but you can find used copies or make an offer. Some of them are $3-4. Someone's just trying to pass it on to the next person, get it out, make $1 or $2. It's just going with the rest of their eBay orders, whatever. And so yeah, for people that read, hey, what up? We got Turbo in the chat. Hell yeah. Japan's database animals. I don't know what that is. Hey, what up, Austin Murphy? Hey, shout out to you. Hey, Austin, I made you some pretty duck emojis. Our art series member emojis are now live. If you guys haven't seen these, you guys can try them out in chat. But Austin, yeah, happy Saturday to you as well, bro. I hope you're just doing good. But here's our French duck. I'll show you some of these guys. Here's our French duck. So when you guys get gift memberships, you hung out a little bit on the channel, you earned a gift membership, you bought a membership. These are the emojis you guys get. And then this is my favorite. We've got La Vie en Rose. We've got all types of different emojis. So I'll figure I'd show you guys those real quick. Hell yeah. We got geopolitics duck. I like that one, guys. Looking at Austin, right? Austin's a smart person. He's a considerate, compassionate person. He's someone that can inspire awe and fear. Austin and I know each other from another channel. And yeah, and he's a smart guy too, right? Just doing AA stuff all day as usual on Saturdays. Cool, man. Well, enjoy your day. Diversify your academic reading. Yeah. But anyways, whatever. Yeah, Eaton's right. When we think of being able to use different systems, this allows us to consider what we believe in our own values as well. There's a lot of people that would say you have to consider your values when you're learning stuff. And this is true, right? This is true. One of the benefits of ideas like multiculturalism and pluralism is that academic ideas can be seen through fruition, right? You can laugh about something like a commie potato, or you can laugh about something about having a Mick belief, right? This is because I'm comfortable, right? I want Zoran Mamdani to set up socialist utopia in New York City, for example, or whatever. But then I also hold these beliefs because I eat McDonald's every day, because I can go online shopping. None of this actually reflects the reality of where stuff comes from. And so this is one of those things where you can either overcome this and still believe in the United States, still be America first, or you can overcome this and say, well, there's some nuance, there's granularity. Here's what I actually believe. And this is what I'm going to believe until I roll over, until God comes and takes me off it. That poll is hilariously botted. I don't know what that means. All right, cool. So just someone wants to come in and say something mean and then leave. Cool. Adios. Turbo will need you back. Diversify your academic reading. Cool. Yeah, as if a light wind would blow me over. Who knows, guys? Who knows? Yeah. Let me go eat more French fries so I can have a dumb conversation with you. Why don't we do that instead? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but in terms of the geopolitics, my own opinion, my personal opinion about Iran, having been somewhat well studied, is if you study Iranian nativism, so it's these ideas of Zoroastrianism, it's obviously the Islamic ideas, it's how Iran managed industrialization, finance, all these topics, all of these come to and from toward nativism is one way of saying this, is it's a pervasive cultural force. But yeah, you see similar patterns emerging in places like Latin America in the 19th century. In Latin America, just like Mexico, you had caballeros, you had indigenous religions, cultures, all these types of things. And then you have philosophy that reflects the reality. You have philosophy that by and large reflects the reality. So people are always 10 times smarter than you think they are. And so you have people that are talking about institutions of education. You have people like Simon de Bolivar, who knows how to conduct diplomacy. He's a true statesman. He sees the value of an isolated Western Hemisphere, and he also sees the need to have support of states like the United States. And so he'll go and petition Washington or petition allies from the Bahamas, from the Caribbean islands. And so Simon de Bolivar is just one example of a leader who took these sort of ideas from Latin American stories and did some. He ran with them. No one can say he didn't. And then, yeah, you move forward and you see the same types of border disputes. And who knows? Is it the case there's bad actors in Iran? Probably, right? Is this just Donald Trump's little play toy, shiny thing, basketball, soccer ball? Yeah, probably, right? Probably. He's probably maximizing the thing he wants to talk about and minimizing the actual state of the world. What is a duck? A duck is a bird. I don't know. Why don't you go tell the internet, Gabin? Go tell the world what a duck is. How the Muse Found Peace says, it's always a pleasure seeing you on here. Hey, shout out to you. Yeah, mushrooms, hearts, all that stuff. Where am I? Ayo. Yeah, shout out to you guys. Yeah. My name is Duck. It's because I like ducks in real life. The channel is Ducks Why. We are evidence-based politics, sort of entertainment, comedy, commentary, stuff like this. Things are meant to be a little educational at times. I also blab about yap. I tell you guys when I'm yapping about my opinion instead of alpha dogging people. Yeah, Oregon, a lot of great runners in Oregon, right? A lot of great runners in Oregon. Man, I want to go running. I wanted to go running today, but you guys will see what the internet did to me, right? This is what the internet did. This is what my tech career did. Is I'm a sprinter, right? I'm a sprinter. I'm not a distance runner anymore. I used to run about 20 miles a week, and I had more endurance. And then, yeah. But I used to run more than 2,000 miles a year. So I loved running, right? A privilege and honor to run a bunch. Yeah, a lot of fun. Who knows? There might be also these irrational sort of aspects to health and fitness. Everyone knows this, right? If you don't want to eat carnivore or eat less carnivore and just lose weight, stop eating, right? There's a diet plan for you. But the other diet plan is, yeah, I will just replace my French fries with a small bowl of protein-dense lentils. And this is what I'm doing today, right? This is what I'm doing today, and there's my food, right? I'm going to replace stuff with vegan whole foods. And the devil may care, but he's not really going to. You're going to live longer. You're going to be healthier, most likely. And so, but yeah, this is one of those irrational aspects of how we approach fitness is I want to go back. I want big arms again, right? I want to be able to bench press more than 200 pounds again, whatever. It would be cool to have 205 on there, 215. I can't do that right now. No way, dude. I'm soft, right? I used to be hard, but as it turns out, I'm probably pretty soft. A lot of people are, it turns out. Yeah, but I mean, so just pay respect, pay homage to people that are stronger, sexier, bigger than you. For me, it's all about being the gimp. It's about being the simp. It's about admitting I'm a vegan gimp. It's also about admitting that we do politics on this channel. Some people don't like that stuff. I'm from the US. Was hiking 3,500 miles a year. That's awesome. Wow, that's crazy. So you must have been doing, who knows? I don't presume to know you, but yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. When I had periods to do fitness full time and work out every day, that's awesome. But the interesting part is that, yeah, I don't know if you were doing longer trail runs, endurance stuff, or just, whatever. Going out tackling 10 miles on a trail is very different. It's very fun. It doesn't make someone, to me, like hiking and going outdoors, it makes someone healthy, fit, and strong, but it doesn't make you look like a bodybuilder just because you went out hiking, in my opinion, right? You don't instantly have, I got way bigger legs going to the gym, training with guys and girls that had big legs or something than I did just going outside or something like that. But yeah, In politics, we might say, well, it's weird because we pick up on these weird social hierarchy cues. And this is because we want to buy from Apple, right? We want to buy stuff from China, right? We want to compete with China, hate China, and support China, right? This hatred-based ideology. And so saying, well, there's no two ways around it. All this is that if you say, well, people in the U.S. can hate and love China, people in Iran can hate and love people elsewhere, people in China can hate and love people elsewhere, you would say, well, hey, this is a hate-based society, right? Sure looks like it from my perspective. You want to buy stuff and hate people, right? That's at the bottom of it. And so when you say, well, this is just the way society works, it's just an appreciation of violence outside of a person, it's not a square circle, it's just the square circle, right? This is a huge difference in opinion. It becomes a differing opinion, and yeah. But yeah, this is why to me it makes sense to be gentle, be intelligent, right? Be gentle. If I don't have to worry about buying a bag of rice tomorrow, then why do I have tomorrow's worries, right? Why do I have worries about tomorrow or the future? I can look at my present circumstance and just try to care about people, try to share what I do best, and yeah, and all this stuff. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate the subscription. Yeah, when you guys subscribe, you guys can hit the bell. I go live regularly. And yeah, my videos, like I mentioned earlier, I try to do full HD. I add some AI clips. I make sure I script it a little bit. So I try to produce interesting, high quality content that's maybe doesn't sound like somebody screaming their opinion at you. So I hope you guys enjoy the channel. Yeah. China Pelosi, China McConnell. Yeah. Sup, mate? How are you doing? Hey, what's going on? Warrion 5658. Happy Saturday. Yeah, hopefully you're doing good, homie. Let's go, baby. Heck yeah. Somebody says they hate China. Yeah, I would love to visit China. Obviously, a very interesting history. Not just an interesting history, but it's very cool, right? When you don't get McDonald's everywhere right away, and we can say that, China wasn't focused on building fast food restaurants. Now they do, right? Now there's a lot, right? But China wasn't focusing on fast food restaurants for the 1970s and 80s, and America was. Hop in your car, go to work, stop and get a mixed sausage sandwich and a black coffee and a hash brown, right? And then you're going to feel good at work. You're going to feel good until you don't feel good, until you get home, right? But you get through the day, you get your paycheck, you pay your taxes, all this stuff, And so when you say you hate China, I would wonder, well, if China just has a different story, and I still don't see something to hate a person about, because I also, when I worked at call centers, I would stop and get an energy drink or a breakfast sandwich and then drive to work, right? And so I would say, well, if you ask me about my day, I would say, well, I drove for 2 hours to go make $35,000 a year. It was a good 35K, but I drove 2 hours to go make $35,000 a year at Vanguard, at the biggest mutual fund company in the world. So it was a really great job. I could get hired anyway, and I would tell you this too, right? I would tell you, well, why I did that was that people see Vanguard on a resume and they think you went to Harvard. They know that you got hired out of 1,000 people, 1 out of 10,000 people. So they already did the work to screen you, right? So Vanguard wanted me because I knew somebody that worked there. So I had a leg up. They also saw, yeah, this is an honors college guy. He's always worked, right? This is somebody who has a college degree. So these are all the reasons Vanguard hired me. But then I get down to the bottom of it and I tell you, well, look, this is also because I wanted to buy a new iPhone, right? I wanted to try Apple products. At the end of it, yeah, I wanted to go get cheeseburgers and beer, not be a vegan or whatever. I wanted to go watch Joe Rogan after work. So I have all these characteristics and traits that made me a Harvard call center worker. And then I have all these characteristics and traits where I still live in America, right? I don't have an American identity. I would have been interested because I studied politics and nation building, developmental economics, sustainable economics that whole time. But I also would have stopped and shut up and told you about mutual funds. So you hate China. I would just beg to wonder if this is me being authentic, that you're just hating someone that's me, right? You hate me in China. That seems like a really hateful opinion. And then I would take it the same way, that if you don't like Americans' consumption habits or something like that, and that's how you come with it, then cool, congratulations, right? Congratulations. Maybe not quite yet, but you're finding a great reason to wake some people up. That's how you want to play it. That's how you see it. Amazing, right? The universe, you're a realist now, right? You're not a multipolarist. You're a realist now. That's awesome. I love hearing it. I can't wait to see you winning, brother. Can't wait to see it. You know, it's good for you. It's going to suck for you, right? You're going to be a sludge sitting in a chair. And then the guy after you, boy, he's really going to have it bad. Tell you about mutual funds. So mutual funds are very simple, right? They're an asset class. You could say a mutual fund, an index fund is like an asset class, and it's made of equities. So it's an investment product that's made out of the asset class of equities. And then mutual funds can also be made out of the asset class of bonds or debt. And you can have various investment strategies, including indexing, including things like there's the weirdest ones, the 1%, the queer, I might say, like, it's not the right usage of it, but if anybody LGBTQIA in chat, you might say, well, there are queer funds, right? There's funds that when you actually learn about what's in it, make zero sense in the world. They're a little bit absurd, and you have to find a way to sort of fit into it or alongside it before it means something. You know, it's not just quirky. It's that the quirkiness is the strategy we deploy to understand absurdity in some sense. Apparently. But yeah, there's non-correlated funds that don't move with the market. There's sector-specific funds. There's all kinds of stuff. Weird stuff. So you guys bake chicken in my place, or would you have KFC? I'm a vegan, Ash, so I wouldn't have either of those. But yeah, casserole dishes are awesome. Yeah, if you had baked chicken or KFC, I would say I would say I would make a scalloped potato casserole. And it would just be a potato casserole, right? I would just tell you guys it was scalloped so you believed it and had trust in it, but it wouldn't be. Most of those companies just short sell and think they're God. That's completely inaccurate. Yeah, so don't spread misinformation in the chat. Mutual funds, their pricing closes at the end of the day. The trading activity is based on algorithms that tracks the market. And so there's no humans making decisions. The decision is to manage the mutual fund. Please don't spread disinformation about anything in the chat. Thank you. Right, very easy. Did you work with crypto? Nope. You know, I've had colleagues. Right. And so this is where I come from in the West. Is I've had people that I worked with in tech that lived in Egypt, Tunisia, all over the world. People that live in the Philippines. Guatemala, Ecuador, Mexico City. Yeah. And so, I've known people that for like, you have a more pressing reason where you're maybe you're the top 10% successful people in your country. And so am I, right? So it's all the top performers in any country are working together. And yeah, sometimes it's just like, yeah, I trust Bank of America. I trust Chase. I think you guys should also just trust them, because they're FDIC insured. Most of you guys don't have 250K, all this stuff. But yeah, when the top 10% of people in any country are working together and you say, well, yeah, our banks kind of suck, it's a little sketchy. Like maybe you have a reason to put some money in cryptocurrency outside of being a contrarian or thinking fiat currency sucks because it just loses value and cryptocurrency goes up, right? Some of these are superstitious ideas, but there might be some rational sort of reasons in there. But yeah, I've never been a big risk taker. I was fine driving 2 hours a day. I was fine getting an energy drink, right? Whatever. I was training to be one day a house husband. That was my goal. Clipping my fingernails, not having depression dirt under my nails, depression face, none of this stuff. And yeah, it was the job. It was the job, the task, the job, etc. Right? One of them, just one of them. Crypto's a scam, hands down. Yeah, I do tend to think that when I see, like, congratulations if you, the person, made cryptocurrency money. But when I see people, and when I see people advertising cryptocurrency, and it's not a scam, you actually have a crypto business. It's like, well, I know who you are. I've met you before. You will say nothing that has even the slightest semblance of moral reasoning. You will say it's not my business. And that's cool, right? But then when you're successful at the next level, you're also going to complain about Sam Altman, about Donald Trump. And so it's curious, right? It's just that because you are you and I am me, there's no moral reasoning or justification for anything. And it's like, well, you can go, yeah, you don't have to morally prove yourself to me, but if you ask me something and then I ask you a question back, you should answer that. NFTs were bigger. Yeah. Yeah. Mining can be profitable. What are you arguing against? Did you? Yeah, Ben. If you read if you read the article says what it says, right? It says what it says. It questions whether maybe a good way to understand it for the kids is once you accept a rational choice theory, or you have an assumption that there's rational actors in the world, and then you say, well, yeah, we're gonna saddle up and we're gonna have a war on terrorism, right? Once you reach that point where you have rational actors having a war on terrorism, um, what's changed in 2026, bro? What's new, buddy? Right? What world did you live in? This is crazy. So, you're going to criticize me and misrepresent my language. You're going to promote more violence in the world, and then you expect me to fucking respond to it. You haven't been on a stream for a while too. See how easy that is? Go read the blog again. Maybe I said in the blog what I said. And if you read it and you don't need to ask, then you don't need to ask. But you're going to promote violence on my stream? I don't think so. You can get out. I've got so much anger toward you. Brother, this is a waste of time. Yeah. Whatever. If you guys want to glorify and celebrate violence, and not understand it, right? If you want to see how I manage this as someone who believes in pacifism, nonviolence, and also was not born yesterday, did not wake up with my head up my own ass, go read my blog on the strike on ISIS, right? It talks about geopolitical theories. It talks about history a little bit, talks about what's changed in the world, and you can learn something. And you can learn. You can learn something. Cool. If you guys want to subscribe to Ducks Y, we're evidence-based politics. I personally am a vegan. I support nonviolence. I support pacifism. And so, if you guys are sour about it and you need to go voice your violent beliefs someplace else, please go do that, right? I'm not going to endorse national narratives or neoconservative narratives that propose violence. I'll take them for what they are. But if you guys want to dominate the conversation with those types of things, or you guys want to gaslight me and tell me I don't know what I know, maybe it's the case you guys do know more than me. But in this case, I don't need misinformation in my chat because you have a subjective feeling or opinion. You can go manage those types of things on your own time. I don't want to learn from a vegetable. Cool. Up to you, right? See, that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay. Donald Trump is the leader. This hierarchical thinking is very odd. This hierarchical thinking is very odd. So Donald Trump being a leader, this is a perhaps blended social and psychological term to say that he's a leader. In any case, Donald Trump he's a second-time president, right? So he's POTUS Trump, former President Trump, and then he's POTUS Trump again. So he has constitutional duties. He has an oath or an obligation, a duty to keep the U.S. and her interests safe, right? So the U.S., the physical people, the stuff, the Constitution, the constitutional rights people have. This is what a limited government is. Is Donald Trump, maybe he would say that, well, you don't get to, if the U.S. has a deal for an oil refinery, that's off limits, right? You don't get to touch that. But then it's very much Trump's interpretation, and Trump being Trump, saying that we go abroad and he doesn't like that you want to open a kebab stall next to a U.S. embassy, right? He says that should be a McDonald's or that should be a Trump hotel, right? This is a very subjective thing, and this is not what my taxpayer dollars go towards. This is also not what this is not about a limited government imagined by the what? Yeah, thank you. I appreciate. Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate. Of course, we all seen what happened to Charlie Kirk trying to have a civil conversation. You guys, we don't need Charlie Kirk apologetics in chat if you're condescending to other people. So this is what one of these comments, the proposition, the statement someone is bringing up is being condescending, telling you guys cannot understand something other than I like Charlie Kirk. I don't like Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was geopolitically insignificant. He was also a hateful, self-absorbed young man who believed in people. So he believed in you. He believed in himself more. He was full of hatred, full of intolerance, full of misunderstanding, and endorsed violence. He once stopped a debate to inform the audience that he would kill a PDF, that he said, I, Charlie Kirk, will kill a pedophile in the middle of a debate. And so he's not a rational person. He's not someone that you should have learned from. And he's not someone who knew anything, right? When you ask what someone without a college degree who lives in the US does and looks like, and they're talking about geopolitics, it's Charlie Kirk. It is Charlie Kirk who does that. It is Charlie Kirk who does that and is good at it. So apparently, right? Very entertaining guy. So rest in peace, Charlie. And yeah, if it wasn't for your statement, I'd be happy to eulogize Charlie again. But because of your statement, because you're telling everyone they're so stupid, they have to go think about Charlie Kirk again, I'm not doing that. I suppose I appreciate the compassion, empathy for me. Thank you for noticing that I'm a human being, right? Maybe just a surface level, you're a human being. So thanks, Steve. Someone says you're responding to comments when you can just shout, but I'm asking you, where's your morality come from? Who knows? I talk, right? Is there a reality? Yeah. Are there moral facts? Let's just say that there's either moral facts or seeming, and that's where everyone's morality comes from. So you're asking me also a condescending question. You're asking, that's a condescending way to approach the conversation. You do not get to decide. It's maybe condescending toward yourself and asking me to consider it. You do not get to decide where your tax dollars are spent. You do a little bit, right? Because you vote. And so you vote for people who represent your interests, which involve tax dollars as well as anything that the government does. So maybe you forgot that you live in, I don't know if you live in the US. If you live in the US, the way the US government works is that, like someone like Kristi Noem or Pam Bondi, or what was his name? Todd May, the old ICE director, someone like Tom Homan, people that work in government, they got hired by a president to do a job for all of the United States. Yeah, it turns out that you can be investigated. It turns out courts can say things toward you, and you have to obey the courts. The courts are the arbiters of whether or not you have violated a law or your constitutional duty, at what level you did well or made a mistake. They will say both, right? That's precedent in either case, that what you did is allowed or what you did is not allowed. And then Congress is also allowed to investigate actions and happenings at the executive. You say, we made a budget, we passed the law, we understand what the law is meant to be interpreted as, and it appears something fell outside of that. So when you say you don't get to decide where your tax dollars are spent, it is not participatory. It is not participatory in that you're actually doing everything for every bill. And so you're assuming someone maybe defines it as that. I wouldn't say it that strongly. I think there's more common sense. There's probably multiple views. The way a political theorist or a comparative political scientist may ask about this is there's maybe multiple ways to ask about. You do not get to decide where your tax dollars are spent. Different ways of working on it. So being gentle, being surface level is a great way to get into a topic. Being authentic is a great way to get into a topic. Yeah. Don't ask others to do things you wouldn't do yourself, and then take it seriously. This is the problem of going deeper and saying, well, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a leftist. I'm a progressive Democrat. What are you? Well, you're someone who votes. So you're someone who would vote a few times every 100 years to go kill people you've never met. Cool, right? Congratulations, right? You are all of the identities all the time. Doesn't make sense. So this is why it's not bad if you don't know what the world is like. You are ignorant and you've never done those things that you claim to support. Be surface level, right? Take your identity back a level. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if you left Shadowban, but you're off the channel forever. So if you come back with alts and I need to see those and find those, show me your alts too. I don't want you personally here on the channel. I don't want any of the statements that you say. So the way the US and the West works, people like you are free to say this stuff while the rest of the world, you're either dead or in prison. Yeah, free speech is a great right. This is a blocked message by YouTube, but free speech is great. And free speech is also, right, it itself doesn't have a unique world to play within. Maybe it does, right? A political scientist would say there's a empirical and phenomenal way to understand what free speech is, how how you support it, how you promote free speech, the institutions or systems that are used, and then what you get back from it. What is a civil society like? What is a global civil society like when there's free speech? And then on the other hand, this empirical or phenomenal world maybe informs your beliefs. It provides evidence for things. An example being that, you want opposition to corruption. And so you say, well, yeah, look, we studied free speech indexes, how free people felt they were to speak, and then in reality, how free they were to speak against corruption. And we found free speech decreases corruption or something, just as a made up example. But this may not ultimately be the ultimate reality that's produced, because when you say, well, there's nothing linear one-to-one, there's no right angle here, even though it looks like it, and maybe there is quite in the long run, in the end, there is a right angle, but on the road to Calvary Hill, right, you're like Christ being not supervised, right? Not supervised. You're like Christ being crucified on your way to Calvary Hill or something. On that journey, you might encounter different realities that can exist because of not because of the knowledge, but just because of the things you didn't include in your study. So modal logic in philosophy and philosophy of social science may ask about what world or what real thing is produced in social science, like political science. So very deep topic, maybe deeper than some people want here, but hopefully those are topics that I do like covering on live streams as well, guys. Don't vote blue no matter who. Yeah, guys. And just to be clear too, if you guys come in and you assert dominance, your statement is up. I read chat, guys. It's okay. And I'm not a celebrity. I'm not going to say anything that interesting. Most of this stuff you'll find in videos and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys are comfortable with me here. All of you guys are there, right? All you guys are here. All of me is right here too. Cool. And then the other side of this is, if you're emotionally abusive, I'm probably, as the channel continues to grow, you're emotionally abusive and don't see it that way, I'm just going to ban you a lot faster. That takes away the chat experience for other people. And you want to wait another 10 years to subscribe to us, whether it's me or it's someone else, right? There's physicists that do this. There are religion scholars, right? There are theologists who have advanced degrees who do this. But so you're going to be emotionally abusive and ruin chat's experience, you can go do it on another channel. You're going to ruin my experience too, right? Like, so I'm not a person. I understand I have to have some responsibility for that. But if you're going to be emotionally abusive in chat, I'm just going to ban you and say, well, you shouldn't be here, right? You want to choose to be ignorant and do so because you're not gentle, because gentleness is weakness or something. Cool. Let me go. I'm so excited, right? I'm so excited to hopefully never hear about how that goes. There's never been any solution more effective than diplomacy. War is always a failure. Yeah, that's a great, Kawala, ideally diplomacy is deployed, but diplomacy is also a shield, right? If the things that become diplomatic, the things that can become diplomatic are what diplomacy deals with, we should still target those things. However, we shouldn't think this is what Kamala Harris described maybe as holistic in the domestic system. Is there something that's holistic geopolitically? Well, pretending like there is, it's the thing you're not talking about, would be added, and it's basic addition at that point in time. I think that's what a very democratic idea. It's also an idea that states that bias have made the decision. You have decided to bias cooperative games versus zero-sum games, and you say, we endorse cooperative games. We do not endorse for no reason zero-sum games. Then it's like, cool, well, you've also made that choice. You're not a democracy. This is a democracy. And so we now, right, we're instantly having a conversation. Those are different things. Trump's the best president we've ever had, point blank, period. Yeah, definitely. Free speech is an American way. I don't know what that means. That seems like a form of exceptionalism. So someone saying free speech is an American way. The United States has always had executive functions. We had quite literally, other than people that were slaves at that time, we had a whole of the nation debate between citizens about the Bill of Rights and about a federalist schema for our Constitution, a federal and state level system. So so when you say free speech is an American way, I don't know what an American way is, but it's whatever. You do not have free speech. You live in a tyranny and a dictatorship. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, you seem like I'm not trying to gaslight you out of that, but like for me, my own experience is recognizing authoritarian or culturally dominant, hierarchical sort of values and norms in my society. It's like, cool, well, I'm going to go read and write. I'm going to go read and write. And like Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic, I'm going to go work on myself, So we have the best country in the world. The US is not responsible for the other countries. Yeah, if one of you guys wants to super chat me $1 million too, I can go off grid. But thank you guys for being here. We've got 125 votes on the poll, 23 likes. We've been live for about an hour. Appreciate you guys, all the smart questions. Appreciate the engagement. Appreciate you guys being nice, right? Being nice, being gentle. Those are great things to do when we are looking for evidence-based politics. And then it's not my responsibility. It's not your responsibility. It's no one's responsibility to recognize how hard you worked, how tough you are. Tough guy. You want to be a tough guy. Cool, right? The tough guys, they always say also they accept that they're the badass. Well, you want to go be the badass? Cool. Let's go see you do something badass, right? Now you will be the badass. And so in my view, gentle, nice, kind, these are things that will be appreciated, recognized. And if you want to toughen it up, cool. That's awesome, right? You can go do that on Myron Gaines' channel. You can go toughen it up on the whatever podcast. I don't care. I truthfully do not give a shit. I do not give a shit personally. I've met so many tough guys in my time, right? Little simp, weakling, weak guy like me. Demonstrate it, bro. Yeah, let me demonstrate it. Demonstrate that I truly don't care. I would hope to never see you again in my life. I'm so sorry you don't like it. No one's stopping you from leaving. Yeah, I do. Yep. I guess. Yeah, it's a evidence-based politics channel, Wolf Den. If you like evidence-based politics, philosophy, like the things I just said, the things I literally just said. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. These are all really good comments. Guys, if you guys are having fun in chat, feel free while I'm talking to other audience members, trying to kind of get a gauge for what you guys want to talk about. Feel free to go up, read the comments, guys. This is one of the things we like to do here. The USA is the worst country in the world. We are ranked lowest in happiness, lowest in schools, lowest in science, and the lowest in healthcare. We're about to lose our measles elimination status. Yeah. Having a normative outlay that describes evidence about the U.S. doesn't, to me, it's not meant to be. I would just clarify that when you say the USA, are you talking about all of the USA? All of the USA, the nation state. What is the USA supposed to be? What can be said confidently? Maybe if it does have a small normative, like it just budges over the line of what the USA is. But I wouldn't encourage, personally, if we are doing political science or trying to be precise or trying to be confident and happy with our own beliefs, I would say that, yeah, it happens. Pessimism happens. There's not always a reason to be optimistic. Sometimes there are reasons to either be cynical or skeptical or pessimistic, right? But if you can't clarify whether you're cynical, skeptical, or pessimistic, then what does the statement mean in the first place? This is the standard I try to provide. The Marcus Aurelius standard I provide for myself, folks. Something like that. Josh Schwang, migrant. Cool. Yeah, awesome. I'm in medical school. What about, cool. Well, you would know a lot more about measles than I do if you're in medical school, Steve. Yeah, you would know a lot more about that. Healthcare has often been one of the most important and also most global soft diplomacy things. I forgot what it's called, right? This is how bad I am. I'm a streamer. I should know this. But there's an organization it is an intergovernmental organization, right? So not an NGO. It's not just some guys who got together in a basement and found someone with $100K and said, we're going to go do charity work. There's an intergovernmental organization, so it's something that presidents in like 40 countries have seen, that spans Canada, the United States, and then all of Latin America, that's purely about education and healthcare between the US and Latin America. And you may say, well, this sounds like that obviously makes a lot of sense, but you've never heard of it either, right? I can't think of the name. You've never heard of it. And so having IGOs or whatever, intergovernmental national agencies, INGO, whatever it is. But yeah, well, whatever it is, you have these, these things. It just, it emphasizes how important healthcare is in the big scheme of things. And also what the types of things people prioritize. Trump literally murdered 100 kids. Yeah, President Trump, the same guy, right? This is the same person who acting as the president of the United States, postured violence, right? He postured violence, he promised violence, he funded violence, he trained for violence, and yeah, for no clear or coherent stated political goals. He murdered 200 kids, right? He murdered 200 kids in Iran. He was responsible for that. So I wouldn't disagree, but when you say people aren't mean enough, I do drastically disagree with that. I drastically disagree with that. Yeah. Yeah. You want to celebrate cruelty? Yeah, cool. Go hang out with the alphas. Yeah, go enjoy, right? So you want to celebrate cruelty, what are you going to get out of it? You want to celebrate cruelty, you want to pretend like cruelty or being inhumane, being cruel yourself, right? You go up that hierarchy, you're going to go find people that are just stronger than the last people you were uncruel to. So cool, go do that, right? Go do that. Go do that until you yourself are like John Kiriakou or Andrew Bustamante or Sean Ryan. Yeah, go do it, right? You can have the experiences, and it's either the case Uncle Sam said you don't have the type of brain to have deep PTSD, or you'll deal with it, right? You'll get the job done and then you'll deal with it. So you want to celebrate cruelty and say people aren't mean enough. Cool. Why not? You want to be a badass? Why not badass? Yeah, go apply for your own. If you're in the US, go join the military or go apply to be in the CIA, badass. Let me hear more. Let me hear more about how I'm not cruel enough. I don't know enough to do that. Crazy. Da, ta, wa. Da, ta, da. Kiriakou is literally a national hero. Well, he's famous, right? He's famous. People would describe him as a whistleblower. So standing up for, I think a responsible take is Kiriakou stood up for norms in a democracy. And they're also very important norms that have to do with human suffering, right? They're not just superficial norms. Someone might say that someone like Ed Snowden, who seemed like a funny troll and to some extent, privacy is very important. Those programs were huge. They displayed corruption and things like this. But some people would also say, well, look, you told people that a DARPA program that takes in $1 trillion a decade or something has software. Who didn't think that? Who didn't know that already? And so you had the documents to prove it. This is obviously not knocking Edward Snowden, the person, but the political significance of this. And when we say, well, Glenn Greenwald worked to this case and they had to basically take on operational security just to get the story out. That tells you something too. That's absolutely right. That it does whatever. It tells you something too. But yeah, to say that, I wouldn't want to, if I was a politician, let's say I was in Washington and someone asked me a retrospective of John Kiriakou's jail sentence, whether he should be pardoned and that record expunged. My starting point is I would say, well, yeah, there are democratic norms that are about enhanced interrogation, which is torture. And so, who knows, right? John's also a person who was probably with great sacrifice able to work for the CIA for so long, but that has nothing to do with the law either, right? And so that maybe just shows you how easy it is to let in my view, irrelevant information. But only ignorant people. And so, yeah, but why don't you have people that are like beneficent or pro-social who are able to make these types of decisions or communicate decisions, right? Both, right? Why does it appear that we have decision structures in 2026 like Trump or Henry Kissinger? And yeah, and you can say, well, Iran's made the choice to have a, outside of whatever it is, you have someone outside of Tehran become president. You have two Western, highly educated postgraduate studies people in the two most important roles in this time, their foreign minister and their president. But then you still see, a cynic, someone who has to be honest about it, will still see you. We see the rest of Iran just like you see the rest of the United States. And so you wonder what's going to split the difference in Iran. And you say, well, people who fight are going to fight. That's the most rational thing someone's ever said. And as the United States continues to move forward, the United States continues to invest in AI. We continue to not have democratic conversations about energy. Decisions about energy aren't driven by scarcity and competition. Instead, they're decision by consumption. And yeah, and so you develop more conspiratorial thinking, more nationalists, right? People who pretend they're not nationalists, these contrarians, but it turns out you, your buddies, and everyone that you're supporting in your life, no matter what, you wanted to move to Letitia St. James or something. This was actually, when we throw 100 of you at the map, it turns out more on average are probably going to be like this, because you're beyond reproach, you're beyond criticism. You've always been this way, of course, right? And so we look at American nationalists and we say, well, these are wolves in sheep's clothing, right? These are people who claim, and right away because they claim to be safekeeping your values. And so you're a different type of an authoritarian. You're an authoritarian without a mod privileges. You're an authoritarian without a wrench. You guys all want to be mods on the channel? Why don't we make everyone here a mod? Well, because some of you would abuse it immediately, right? Some of you would use that moderating power. Out of 100 of you guys, some of you would use that to voice racist opinions instead of saying, I don't know, right? To me, someone in a leadership position would say something like, I don't know. So you guys asked me about John Kiriakou and my opinion about him, what the US thinks about someone like John or Andrew, very famous influencers, people with many years, either as civilians or in enlisted roles close to positions of power, very influential people back in their day. Lots of responsibility, lots of pressure coming down from all angles on them too, probably, right? I don't know, just where you are, right? Apparently where you are, and there you go. But yeah, you asked a question, you didn't say that, right? Kawa Leo's doing what people always do. No, your proposition doesn't mean the same thing as the last one. Last thing you asked if he was a national hero. And I wasn't thinking about you saying that you're an authoritarian, but yeah, it does sort of look like that. I have the ability to just time you out, and so I'm thinking I will do that soon too. You want to be a mod? You want to be a mod, Kaole Lau? You want to be a mod here or another channel? You want help with that? Yeah, but what was I saying? Yeah, so other people, leaders in government, stand up, right? We have this problem of tolerance where I can say, well, like, I have no moral reason to recognize cryptocurrency as a good thing and therefore as politically desirable. I have no reason, right? The fiat system, it buys rice and proteins for our kids, and it buys teachers' salaries. And so at the end of it, at the bottom of it, you want to say, well, you need this, you need this. No, you don't. It turned out in the early 20th century in the United States, poor Black women who weren't allowed to go to white cities designed public education curriculum and programs. And these were models. These did become models for people all around the world. They also helped build the first teacher unions. They helped build and organize. And when you look at what teacher unions actually do, it's not just about wages. It's not just about asking about political access, saying, hey, well, everyone's supposed to have an education. How's that going? But it's also talking about ensuring there's political recognition of education. And so, here's just more evidence. I don't need to recognize Bitcoin or cryptocurrency and things like this. But these are the types of people that when we think of civil servants who take a sacrifice or responsibility and they say, I am both with and without the things I'm not doing. And eventually you realize it or you don't. And yeah, it's actually quite tangible sometimes. And most of the time, maybe you ignore it or you forget about it. And so to say that, well, yeah. So I think one of the things I'm backing into, and if I'm thinking about banning your account, one of the things I would say, I didn't ask. I said he was for asking legitimate questions. Yeah, so I think it's generally, you were talking about cruelty earlier, if I remember. You were talking about cruelty, and then you're demanding I recognize your opinion. If that was you, if I'm not misremembering this, you're talking about cruelty, about asking people's opinions, and then there's this semblance of dehumanizing people and rehumanizing them based on your terms, and there's not an appreciation or recognition that's outside of that. And so it's dehumanizing someone by demanding a lot of attention toward your propositions, the statements you're making, versus the content that's going on the channel. And so when I have a problem that you demand I talk about someone I've never met, like John Kiriakou, and tell you my opinion of someone, or recognize that you said he's a national hero, it's because it's coming from this place. It's coming from someone who I believe has... I'm simply trying to engage with the content on the channel. Cool. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I've seen a woman with better beards. You respond to me and I engaged with your response. But what is a woman? I need Duck to answer that one. Hey, what's going on, Borgia? Yeah, who knows? What's sexual dimorphism? What is a phenotype? If you riddle me what's a phenotype and what gender or sex is, and then who knows? Maybe we'll have a conversation about that. Yeah, there you go. Tax women with beards. Tax women with beards. Yeah. Yeah. It's all good, right? This is one of the reasons I reject terrorism and non-state actors, as well as rejecting just a blanket acceptance of counter-terror activities being celebrated like the ISIS strike, because it ends up being one psycho against another. It ends up being one incomplete, incoherent worldview winning over another, right? And then everyone lives with that one, right? This is a criticism of power, right? Don't say the word power. What's actually going to happen? What are the verbs and nouns? What are the verbs and nouns? And then what, if those don't have too much meaning outside of just being the verbs and the nouns, right? There's not that many verbs that matter about a U.S. Air Force base in the Middle East having planes. There's not many more verbs other than the plane takes off or the plane lands. The plane receives maintenance, the plane doesn't. These are the types of things that are verbs and nouns that your taxpayer dollars go toward. And so one of the reasons that I don't offer blanket acceptance or denial of violence and just say, well, I'm a pacifist, I believe in nonviolence, right? So to me, saying I believe in nonviolence means we're going to have the conversation if you would have it with me, if you would be so kind prior to deciding. And then pacifism means that, well, I'm just going to reject the violent solution, and I'm never going to be happy with it, right? That for moral reasons, I would be a moral objector to that situation. He still wouldn't say what gender. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I believe it's on my YouTube channel. I believe it says he, him. If you guys click into my bio, if you guys go to my share page, you guys want to share the channel with close friends. You guys want to, anybody out there wants to engage content. My last short yesterday, it's awesome. It's high quality for YouTube. It's informative. It uses the right words. It's got funny AI clips. It's got exciting overlays. It's got great cutscenes. But it got 1,000 views and over 30 likes in 2 hours. So if you guys want to support any of the content, yeah, mark it for your boy Duck, right? We're working on this space. Hey, what up, Neva Under Pressure? Great to see ya. Hey, Earthworms. Yeah. Aw, yeah, you too. You too. Hopefully you're having a great day. I got a special can breed for them in my fishing bait. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. About India and Pakistan. Yeah. What is it called? Project, what was the Operation Sindoor? Operation Sindoor this was also the last war. Yeah. Operation Sindoor was the last counterterrorism operation ran by India. And yeah, this was a war, right? Operation Sindoor. Some would say, well, this was a war. This was a 2-week-long war between two nuclear countries, but it was a counterterrorism operation. And so it was a response to incursions into, what's it called? Kashmir or something, as it always is. And so Operation Sindoor, yeah, this came up while I was doing my counterterrorism research for the blog spot I published today. Yeah, for the blog I published today. So yeah, absolutely. Happy Queen Victoria long weekend. You're just waging a war digitally. What's the difference? Of the strike in Nigeria. It's on the blog. It's on the Substack. So Joe Martin, I would recommend go check out my last post on my page. If you go to the DuxY page, you guys will see videos, shorts, lives, membership, and then my posts. I use social posts here. I actually write about it. It's not just pictures of screenshots of how the channel's growing. There's blogs and stuff. There's pictures. And yeah, so read about it on the Substack. But I mentioned it looks like, my conclusion is this looks like Nigeria and this ISIS operation is another plaything for Trump. It appears that the neoconservative position falls too far outside of the bounds of realism to be recognizable. And yeah, the temptation is to say that the U.S. actively engaging in counterterrorism operations must be good because ISIS must be bad. Muslims that attack Christians must be bad. But when you look at a populous nation like Nigeria, the largest country in Africa, very religious, about half Christians, half Muslims, very religious country. It's also one of the regions in the world who like Afghanistan has more terroristic violence. Who else? Yeah, Nigeria, historically, we see these sort of events and declining violence, significantly declining violence since 2015. Trump and Marco Rubio haven't told you this, right? They haven't told you that since the end of the global war on terror, as well as since the end of U.S. operations in the Middle East, and since basically the conclusion of the Syrian war, we don't know what is actually going to happen with terrorism. But Trump and Vance didn't tell you this. JD Vance is a fucking liar. JD Vance wants to play pretty boy. He wants to stay out of this issue. He's going around talking about education, talking about law enforcement. I've never seen bitch behavior. I've never seen bigger bitch behavior than JD Vance. This guy's, I could go on for days. I'm not allowed to, but I think we should say JD Vance should never be president. JD Vance, I wouldn't let him manage a penny that I owned. I wouldn't let him manage my closest friend or my worst enemy. This guy's not a masculine guy. He doesn't have a civic mind for things. And so President Donald Trump basically thinks he's condescending, he's talking down to you, and all this stuff. You're saying that terroristic violence has declined, meaning all of them. ISIS has moved to West Africa. If you're targeting ISWAP, then you should go to Africa. Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying that you're still doing, and I'm about to ban your account too. I'm about to ban your account. You should just ban it first, right? You should time yourself out, go to an alt when you're going to say stuff like that. That's uneducated. So you're going to say that, well, the ISIS bad guys are in decline, but when you track the bad guys go to West Africa. So there is no appeal to anything which bears any resemblance of reality in what you said. You don't need to go to Africa to go see bad guys, right? Why don't you, bro? Why don't you go walk around the bad parts of the bad mall in your town, right? If you're in the US or Europe, go to the ghetto, quote, and go to the shopping mall in the ghetto and go walk around, right? Go find a different bad guy if that's who you want to be. And so to say that we are doing evidence-based politics is also to reject uninformed, sloppy statements that are appearing as if you have some form of answer. This reminds me of what Charlie Kirk was like too, guys. People that need to deconstruct from the internet, deconstruct from the hierarchical thinking, the certainty style thinking, or saying we're just going to game through it. But I don't know. I'm not certain. I'm not clear. But here's what it is. Here's what the world is. Right? This is incredibly uninformed and violent ways of thinking. They aren't moving in an entirely different type of group. You know what? You lost your privilege to tell people stuff. You can come back in a day when this isn't the topic. That's so easy. Bring back independence from Israel and the U.S. I don't know what that means. Assuming you're smarter than someone who's being sarcastic, you sound pathetic. Yeah, stop bombing people. Doesn't matter. I'm smarter than you, so you probably consider me one. Cool. Yeah, so, Very simple decision, guys. Very simple decision. What, like, right? What is the motivation? What is Trump's? Does Trump have a motivation? And then what geopolitical world or reality is that about? Right. So Donald Trump, let's assume he's a rational actor. So Donald Trump, hiring 100,000 federal police officers, giving ICE $100 billion, all of these things that he wants to do and that he can do as president, in some sense, right? In some sense, they may be illegal, but Donald Trump is doing as much as he can in the way that is the least illegal possible so he can keep doing it. And it appears that he has enough pushback in the US, but then he goes out and does something and saying, well, this is just a policing action. It's violent diplomacy. Most people, you should intuit, what does that mean? What is violent diplomacy? I've never heard of violent diplomacy. I've never heard that the US has an interest in protecting Christians in a country who their problem is not protecting Christians, right? If you have 100 million and 100 million Muslims and 100 million Christians living with each other who wanted to fight, they would fight. They would fight. And so to undermine an approach to understanding or explain the conflict, having an explanation, this technical term, explain attacks against Christians that happened in Nigeria. If you undermine that explanation by putting your nationalism, your neoconservatism out front, so it's at the end and the beginning of it, well then, to me, that's not for my taxpayer dollars, right? That's not for my taxpayer dollars. I'm not down to ride for that because it's wrong, right? At the end of the day, you're going to hurt more than you protect. You're going to cost more money than you're going to save. There's not going to be an economic variable, and there never has been. There has never been an economic payoff for continuing wars on ideas because you have your own idea. So ideas fighting ideas. No, there's ideas fight ideas because it's information, right? Because it's information, it allows group decision making to happen. Ideas fighting ideas don't win because two uninformed, stupid people decided to go argue and fight. You have to go to war to end a war if a treaty can't be agreed on. Okay. Yeah, I would recommend Borgia. All right, I'm just going to start doing this. Where's my YouTube? I'm not an encyclopedia. I'm not the only source of things, but if you want to click the link that I'm going to drop for you, where we go? Where did we go? View my channel. And let's go to videos. This is a nice 12-minute video. This is not the, whoops, where did it go? What the heck? Oh, man. It's members only. I was supposed to make this not members only. So I'm going to make my Kantian perpetual peace video not members only. Guys, I'm sorry if it is not the best video ever. But how do we do this? Here's public. So we make this video public and I say done and then I say save. And then I'm going to drop the link to this perpetual peace video essay in chat. But yeah, if you guys have questions about why you go to war or what's underneath it and then what you think about it, you guys want to grow up a little bit. You guys are eager to grow up a little bit. Here's this one. So there's a video you can watch. Yeah, I was the smartest political science student in Arizona for undergrad. Yeah. And then I decided to go work in finance. Yeah. I was the smartest political science student in Arizona. And then I went to work in finance. Not me personally, but yeah, my buddy in college was the smartest political science student in Arizona. I was the second smartest. So I went to ASU. Yeah, I went to ASU. Yeah. This reminds me though, guys, this reminds me of like Reddit IR or some bullshit. Okay. Uh, uh, uh. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'll make some Ducks Y t-shirts. It's a #1 political science student at a US university. The duck on it like this. Hell yeah. Bubba toe cheese. Cool. Hell yeah. Ooh! Yeah. Yeah, guys. When I was in college, I took propositional logic. So I took 300 level philosophy class while doing poli-sci. I did like 50, 60 step proofs. You know, I would have like maybe three to five problems on my homework, and it would be like 10 pages. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, but no, political science is accessible for everyone, right? You just understand, what are you talking about? Like, right? If I can use my frontal cortex and frontal lobe a little bit, my cingulate, and I can say, well, what are you talking about? What's the picture or image? What does it do when it moves, right? Is this what you're talking about? Is this also what the people, the humans, the dollars exchanged? Is this what the firearms, the pew pews fired? This is what you're talking about still, right? So political science is often portrayed as very brutal, but the reality is sometimes much softer, because I would say one thing that political scientists and social scientists tend to forget is the 99% of the time that you're not working, the world still is. There's still this other world outside of it. And so saying that these theories are meant to be taken seriously, we're meant to have dramatic conversations, we should take these conversations seriously at the end of it, right? At the end of it, we should take seriously the conversations that political scientists produce. So these types of conversations that say, well, geopolitical realism has appeared to be correct. As time has gone on, you could have challenged it with structural systems, and yeah, even in 2026, it appears at least somewhat right. One would presume, um, like one would presume it is. But then part of this is also that, well, 99% of the world, why are people supporting the weakening of actors taking in a realist perspective, right? Too much of your capital politics, too much of Washington D.C., too much of Beijing, too much of Stockholm, right? Too much of London, too much of these conversations goes out into the world, and you get punished for it, right? You get punished for not nationalism, not taking care of rural America, but from decisions that have nothing to do with other people. Yeah. I wasn't really the smartest political science student. I was just a guy, right? When I was in college, I worked all the time. I had a full-time job. I drank all the time. I was a drunk. Yeah. Um, I had classmates that drank too much Red Bull in college. Um, and so yeah, I was a drunk. I chain smoked. We didn't have vapes back then, but I chain smoked cigarettes back then. This was also the time that research, like these illegal like spice drugs, were coming out in the U.S. So when I was in college, I thought about those all the time. Yeah, I had dreams I would one day be smart. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I have a ton of respect for academics and scholastics and people that have worked at think tanks, because you have to be a real kind of jerk, right? To look at something like I'm in the US, so an event like Charlottesville, right? This rally, and you say, well, Charlottesville was a 3-day event in all of American history, but what does it mean, right? What does it mean for someone like Francis Fukuyama, who decided to stop doing comparative politics and stop doing ideological studies and start doing identity study, right? So this sort of adjacent to a lot of fields, really master of none, old person to all, Francis Fukuyama, right? But but you have to have like a real passion for it. I just didn't have that gearing, and so that's when I decided to go work at craft breweries. And yeah, you know, yeah, that's when I became a drunk. That's when I Forgot all of my schooling. That's when I forgot that when I worked at Vanguard, I had a little copy of the Tao Te Ching on my desk. I had a little Bruce Lee background. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. Being able to put this stuff together, wow. You guys don't know that. Wow, political science. Wow. 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 Getting a big old belly. Oh, you are? Cool. Yeah. Hey, good luck. Yeah, I would recommend listen to your teachers. If you've got 10 teachers, 15 teachers, the way I did it as a millennial, as someone who's neurodivergent, is there were one or two teachers who I connected with. So I still remember Dr. Alex. I had Dr. Alex in community college. Yeah. So I did 2 years of community college, and then I went to a state school. And Dr. Alex, very smart guy. He had a PhD from one of the top programs in the country. And he was very thorough, right? He didn't talk down to us in a condescending manner. He also kept things at the level, the depth and the level that we would ask about. So I memorized and learned a lot from Dr. Alex. So I remember Dr. Alex. I remember Dr. Deborah. I remember Dr. Jack. I remember Dr. Simone. I remember, my professors, Dr. Ball. I remember the people I learned a ton from, I loved listening to, and I was inspired by my great teachers to go do the study guide, go do the test prep that I needed to, do a good job on the essay without reaching out too far. And so for me, one of the things that's was important is just, you're not going to want to listen to me who does, like when I'm not here, I talk about OnlyFans and Fansly. I talk about Gooners on the internet. I talk about lolcows and panels. So I'm at community college. My professor really liked me because I would sit in the front of the room and argue with her. Cool. Yeah. Great job. Yeah. Enjoy. Yeah. Have fun. Don't skip stuff. Don't, just do the test. There is some logic to just getting the grade, and there's some logic to just, enjoy school. Obviously not an educator, so I'm not going to provide advice on education and, whatever it is. Yeah, if you haven't met, right, the old trope, one of the funny things is if you guys didn't go to school for political science, there's always at least one. There's always at least one guy who was in the Air Force or the Marine Corps in the United States. So you got blah 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 blah. Goddamn Uncle Sam. They're putting milk bits in the water, right? So when you try to drink water, you're drinking Bessie's milk. Freaking milk bits. Syracuse, freaking Satellite, Hotel Tango, Foxtrot, Rockies. Yeah. And then they'll come out and they'll be like, within democratic peace theory, there is an over-reliance on the presumption of aspects of human nature which are not democratic norms themselves. And so democratic peace theory does look at systems, but you can't really reproduce the results. There's nothing that's really empirical about it without these psychological aspects. God dang, Bessie, Hotel 1549.37XY degrees by 72, Hotel Whiskey, Foxtrot. Yeah. And so Hans Morgenthau housed this and captured this in the national character, national interest. Right? Stupid stuff, right? But it is funny, So those big buckets are also things to look at when you look at, well, this is a lake, right? This isn't a forest. There are no forest or trees. This is a lake. You could go swimming in it. There are examples of this in political science on these broad topics that you get a lot out from, right? When you're not going through and being an academic or as smart as you possibly can be, but something like, what is the national character? Why do you have to tie realism to what Dan Rather is talking about on the news, right? Why is that? It seems important, but the explanation is very thin. So what is that about? What is that about? Like, these are still very core topics, core theories, things like this. And they also get you away from like learning deeper historical truths. The profundity of history is absolutely amazing. Like one of the most important things that a political scientist will do versus a political theorist is they'll go through and they'll uncover these historical events. They'll find the drivers of conflict. They'll see how it happens in real time, and they'll explain ultimately what it was. This is what happened, bro. This is what happened ultimately. Yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Let me get another 15 of those. You ultimately telling me what penultimately led to an ultimacy. Hell yeah, brother. Let's go. All right. Yeah, John Kiriakou is a national hero. yeah, he stood up for norms and moral things, and hell yeah, brother. I'm not a national hero, and yeah, I sleep all day. I have depression. I'm a former drunk. I'm a former many things, right? I probably have too much PTSD and mental disability to be anything or anywhere to anyone. And I also make fun of political science papers that I can't understand. I'm not a data scientist, that's for sure. Uh, uh, you talk too negative about yourself. You're a really smart guy. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, I learned from some of the best in the business. Yeah, I learned from some of the best in the business. Um, I guess. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think consistently education is really important. Education is really important. Um, if that's true. So yeah, education is really important. Like I mentioned, I'm neurodivergent, but seeing people that care about critical thinking and learning about others' ideas before forming a judgment about the idea, right? Not having when you have an inability because you don't know to form a Bayesian prior to produce an inference about your confidence in a theory, your confidence in an idea, what you find normative or valuable. A person is unable to do that if you never learned the idea in the first place. So like Charlie Kirk, again, someone without a college education, I believe, someone who believed in himself so much that the rest of the world didn't exist. So some would say displaying many characteristics or traits, it would appear, right, of, whatever. If you were to psychoanalyze him, you would say he has a desire toward only his view of the world and recognition, and corrects and updates his own self view of things only when it would suit his goals within Turning Point or something like this. But yeah, so Charlie Kirk is someone who had ideas about things without any explanation or evidence of them. So it's not that he didn't have evidence, because he would debate you that he did have evidence or he did have a reason to believe something, but he didn't have a world that he backed into. He had no prior about it. And he was a young guy, so he didn't understand what essentialness was. Very sad tragedy. If I can echo this 1,000 times, I've eulogized Charlie on the channel. I talked about his consequential life, how he believed in others, how he was inspiring on public access television when he was a young man. And then politically and stuff, just the overwhelming lack of leadership traits, the lack of civic mindedness, the conspiratorial thinking, and the fact that he probably should have been a felon in jail for the rest of his life. So there's many reasons to disagree with Charlie Kirk's politics, but nothing condones violence. But this doesn't change the fact that he was a 20-something-year-old who adults were listening to learn about the world or form their own beliefs or be entertained. And you guys forgot that, like, Charlie Kirk couldn't tell you what a cup was, right? It was a lack of experience. It was a lack of understanding of oneself. And then so you're letting the same person who cannot tell you what their 3 theories of what a cup might be, you're letting the same person tell you about geopolitics. This is also like Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump he doesn't study Kabbalah, right? He is not some Christian Jew or something like this. He's not some African spiritualist. Donald Trump, I doubt, would be able to tell me what a cup is, right? Or if he could, it would be like reciting it from a dictionary. And so to me, neoconservatism, lack of gentleness, violence, cruelty, celebration of cruelty brings up these sort of ideas. To prove you're smarter than everyone. I don't know. You guys said smart. I don't think I'm very smart. I'm sitting here vaping. Yeah, you guys don't know if I'm going out and researching my next OF sub, or like, yeah, home order, like monthly recurring subscription boxes of sex toys and stuff like this. You guys don't know any of that stuff, but somebody asked if I'm so fucking smart. How do I know? Well, there's how I know. Sorry. Not even Magnus Carlsen considers himself to be smart. Cool. Yeah, I mean, Magnus Carlsen is Yeah, he's someone that knows himself, right? So this there's there's interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships. So intrapersonal, it's not deeply philosophical. It just means right, interpersonal means how we communicate with each other, how we talk, how we relate to each other. Intrapersonal means how we relate to ourselves. Intra, INTRA. So so there's intra and interpersonal. And I'll give you guys, there's two of our ducks. There's two. Whoops. What happened? I don't know. I got an error, but there's two of our ducks, guys. What are you talking about? I banned you. Accused me of not knowing what I'm talking about. Well, you made the mistake in the other message, so you're going to misinform people, right? And so you're making it personal. I don't know who you are, right? I've never met you. I didn't really even deeply analyze the proposition you said. The way I interpreted it was what the semantic meaning would have meant based on the words you said. So if you realized you were conflating terror groups, and then you're still yelling at me, I don't know, just gonna go do it again then. So cool, that's awesome, right? You're a professional, you're an amateur professional. You have an internet PhD just like I do in security studies or something like this, or military history, military tactics and strategy. Cool, that's awesome. I don't have that, but hey, what's going on, ED Rufus? Thank you for the kind prayer. Appreciate it. We have people of all faith traditions on the channel and no faith traditions, right? We're an evidence-based politics, philosophy, religion, or a lack of religion channel too. So thank you. Happy Saturday. Happy weekend to you. And yeah, and let's not be domineering with a faith tradition that's not directed toward anyone, right? That isn't specifically, particularly about anyone, and that just shouldn't be, right? So yeah. Oh, it's this Looney Tune. Hey, thanks, Koopa Troopa. Very kind statement. Great to see you. He's humble and says that it happened to find the one thing that happens to be really good at. So did I explain it to your liking, Boba cheese? Yeah, it was nothing personal, but I'd rather lose. I've been live for 2 hours. I would rather lose $100 of revenue and self-immolate whatever, like Buddhist monks. We've seen in the Buddhist tradition self-immolation and things like this. I would lose $500 in red super chats. I would lose $10,000. I would lose $1 million rather than vote for somebody who's going to go talk about taking human lives, who doesn't understand it and wouldn't do the work themselves, right? So, hey, if you want to say there's a practical application, your praxis, your history makes you qualified to be a builder, right? You want to join the military, or you want to become a painter. You want to become a barista, a coffee maker. You want to order your own free source beans and be a liberal capitalist. You want to locally roast beans you ordered from someplace else. Cool, right? So you're qualified badass, right? You want a badass counterterrorism document or a badass view on counterterrorism. Cool, badass. Like, that's awesome. Good. It doesn't need to live here. I did vote for Kamala. Yeah, I was very sort of doldrums to wake up that morning and go vote. But I did want to see Madam President, and so I did go. I voted for Kamala Harris. My vote helped stop an abortion. Here's what my vote actually did, guys. Kamala Harris did not get the Electoral College votes in Arizona, but my vote did stop an abortion ban in the state. My vote did also contribute to Ruben Gallego becoming elected. So those were my political wins, where my political belief is represented. And I would end this. I would perhaps cap this by saying I was honest about what I felt going to vote. And yeah, for people like Andy Biggs and other Arizona politicians, I appreciate the civic service. I do not believe that you have been honest about what you hear coming out of Donald Trump's mouth. and it is your job to represent all constituents. And someone shouldn't need to explain to you. And the fact that it doesn't appear transparent that someone in the GOP or the Democratic Party has been explaining to you what your job is as an elected official is very disheartening. If you cannot elect politicians who have a second grade level of education to go out and do the job, then what are you doing, right? What are you doing? And the reciprocal of this, right? This isn't going too deep, but it's authentically true, right? If you go out and do your job, that allows me as a citizen, as a streamer, right? This isn't a huge channel, but I've gotten 500,000 conversations and views. Any given stream, we get 500 plus chat messages. We have conversations here. You do your job. You don't tell people to develop beliefs about big systems without evidences. You do not undermine values that you do not have to represent your constituents. Doesn't matter what it is. It's about nature. I don't care. It's about religion. I don't care. It's about you are Keynesian or Adam Smith economics. I truly do not care. Do your job, and that allows others to do their job in a democracy. I do have a job in a democracy because my voice is public. It's on the internet. It's very small, but it is public. And so, yeah, I did vote for Kamala. I have a lot of opinions about democracy just per my own beliefs, apparently. But I have more opinions about people that fail to represent their constituents, fail to work hard, and fail to do so with distinguishment, right? You're at the top of your class. And so if you're at the top of your class, that shouldn't mean that anyone can be. It should mean that you are better than, and it should also mean that you are better than for a reason that it's going to suck. You're going to have PTSD, but not a single fucking person can say anything to you with reproach. And so, yeah, if I was a leader in any political party or someone people respected and listened to, I would say, if you ever once fucking again, so help me God, you ever once again let go of your duty, you ever once again allow yourself to look like this, you will never see the light of day in Washington. You will never once again be recognized on CNN, C-SPAN. You will not have a single positive, glowing review ever once again in politics if you ever allow yourself to look like that again. Not once. And so I do think that we should demand excellence in a democracy. And when excellence is required, it just means that you are ready for it. It is unforgiving. It is discerning. It is exacting. And to pretend like the politics you are representing is itself not exacting, right? This is the counter toward political extremism. This is the counter toward polarization. This is the counter to identity politics, is you do your job. It is not more complicated than that. You know what the job is. If you know the job better than others, you do not need to engage in identity politics. You do not need to engage in the polarization. You do not need to engage in nationalism. You do not need to deny that global civil society exists. These are all things you can accept exist. But if you once when you are needed are not there, you are off the team. It is that simple. And it's like, cool, congratulations. There's your training document and there's your yearly refresher. You have 12 months of work to do now. And we had a 5-minute conversation, which was probably about 4 minutes and 30 seconds too long. 12:57 Arizona time, right? There you go. People vote for who represents them. Yeah. Very soft, comfortable ideas. Donald Trump, I believe I've witnessed, like, if we're just talking at a bar and let's say I have no education, I would say, yeah, I mean, Donald Trump has told people the United States is exceptional, that causation in the world doesn't exist. And cool, I agree, right? I do believe there's some element of American exceptionalism, which is true, but it's also because we're in a large, isolated liberal state. There is something fundamentally slightly different. Yeah, by the way, I'm just going to mention it. I'm going to hook up the good microphone and who knows, we'll go a little bit longer. Can you guys just do a quick audio check? Can you guys hear me? We should have seen a slight improvement in audio quality if you guys have that. Angolita, somebody says, hey, Ramona, hey, que hondas, way. Yeah, if you guys want to consider supporting the stream this month, later this month, next month, that's awesome, guys. Thank you. I depend on you guys. I stream full time. you guys are supporting conversation. So if you guys haven't donated to a streamer or you want to go support your other favorite streamer, that's all cool, right? It's all generalized reciprocity is what it's called in theory. So that if you guys get value from my stream, yeah, support someone else doing it. But if you guys want to support me too, guys, thank you so much. Whether it's today, this stream right now, this second, or you guys want to consider joining a membership in the next couple of months, sending a $5 super chat, $100 red super chat. That stuff helps me enormously. I'm in the US. I got US bills, guys. Yesterday, I met Moss Inman in the hallway. Cool. Hey, P, say what's up, Jazz Productions. No, they said. My heart is broken from the cruelty. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I wish I could just curl up into a ball when I hear about politics. Start criticizing capitalism. You aren't doing that. Then I don't. Yeah. So you asked. Oh, hey, what's up, Gromlins? Good to see you again. Sorry, I just saw your message. But yeah, we were talking about literature literature for leftism, right? So I'm planning. I still want to do. I don't know if it's going to be a full video or conversation we have about like group-based politics, about leftism, perhaps in geopolitics and stuff. So a really interesting topic. Yeah. Capitalism, I would say it's a very interesting one. Another interesting question is, does this require an explanation? You know, we see energy infrastructure and military. So two organizations, just like all other organizations, someone might say. And it appears that energy companies, not just in the US, but also places, especially maybe like Russia, especially, you know, Ukraine has also had a really hard go at liberalizing energy to some extent. But yeah, so we see really firm state-controlled, political leveraged energy in Russia versus the United States, where it's a black bag. What do you know about energy companies in the United States? Is it the same thing? Is it different in geopolitics? And so criticism of capitalism is, does it warrant an explanation that we see military organizations, that we see energy companies operating alongside very publicly traded companies? Or even like, if you were curious, right, you don't have to talk to the shopkeep, but if you were to walk through a sporting goods store, a small sporting goods store, a small running shoe store, or something like this, you could say, well, look, I know all these shoes that you have. I'll go see which shoes you have. Maybe I'll buy a pair of running shoes. But while I'm there, I notice you have socks. You've got energy gels, right? You have Square. You have a point of sale system. You have Wi-Fi, right? You've got cool stuff. You've got decorations on the wall. You've got alluding to like these big Olympic running events and trail running events. Awesome, right? Small businesses are great. They're amazing. But you can learn a lot about geopolitics from that place too, because you know, in a liberal economy, those came from a lot of places. So who knows? Maybe there's value to that too in capitalism. But you could also wonder, you know, well, how much of this comes from militaries and these other, you know, is this a bad thing of liberal capitalism? Whoa, geez, how do you even start that conversation? And so, yeah, you know, and so lots of criticism, because of course you can see exploitation in other political systems. And like I've mentioned, yeah, we're no different. We're all one tribe, guys. Like I mentioned, I've been live for 2 hours. I've made $0 here today. I'm here to make money. I'm here to, I think I heard Monk Life and Shiva the other day. If you guys have ever seen them in your algorithm, I've heard them say they're online beggars, online grifters. So I beg for money, and just like people all over the world, right? You guys are begging for money too. And so it's not fair that I have nice Nike shoes behind me. It's not fair that I get disposable vapes, right, with lithium batteries in them. You know, manufactured machine nicotine and stuff like this. I understand that, guys. I appreciate it. You guys, I know it. Yeah. Yeah, but the moral signal, the virtue signaling of whatever a leftist is, I don't know. I've met a lot of left people who you stumbled into the wrong Reddit board and you've never actually learned what conservatism is, or you don't actually understand progressive politics in the US. You don't understand how geopolitics has impacted a place like the EU. And so my wondering is, if you want me to be cruel towards an idea or a capitalist class, you want to celebrate cruelty towards people or misunderstanding of ideas for convenience sake, it's like, cool, well, you're engaging in identity politics and you're engaging in ideology just like the other people. So why don't you guys go form a small padded room and go argue with some MAGA folks? Cool. Have at it, right? Let me know when you guys free up some of them shekels for me, right, on this side of the world. You're an anarcho-capitalist? Cool. Yeah, Nozick's a very interesting thinker. I always because I don't hold a deeply held belief and would never claim to be an expert on either libertarian or anarchic or anarcho-capitalist thought. Whether so with anarcho-capitalism, you're basically, there's an argument about human nature. This is how political theorists might structure this in an organized way. Anarchy talks about human nature. And then capitalism says, well, the only system that can emerge, or the system that emerges, right? So it has aspects of political philosophy. It also has aspects of ideology. What's going on? We got Almost High, our favoritist mod in chat. You came just in time for anarcho-capitalism. Hell yeah. Hey, see ya, Underboss. Also, hello. Yeah, have a great weekend. Yeah. And so with leftism, maybe less ideological, but you look at Marxist or Marxist-Leninist Bolshevik sort of thinking, you wonder how this evolved to Stalinism, but you just take the idea for what it is. This also talks about Marx actually curiously didn't talk about human nature as much. Perhaps it was the case that later on, one of the corrections that was either ideological is, maybe Russian Zionism, so Jews living in diaspora in Russia who wrote of Zionism, Bolshevik Leninism, adopts this view of human nature that does sort of like, a critic who maybe doesn't read it closely would say, this is like Mussolini, this is like fascism. You're saying that the individuation or a political individual away from a group identity of a social identity, social recognition, is going to produce competition in ways that is exploitative, right? And so you do, but I think the small twist or shift is where in democratic socialism and other forms, they say, well, your view has to be represented throughout the society. And someone might say, well, look at China, right? An apologist for this type of idea, or someone who sees that normative outlay as beneficial, might say, well, China still has 25% command economy, central controlled, state controlled economy. Their free market, which is 75%, like you would presume, has strong, some in the US, you would say strong state influences, but you would say there are measurable impacts of state influences and stuff like this. So yeah. And so those are all things that people could consider a little bit. What is the ought that says everyone is entitled to internet access? The internet is very close to being a non-rival good. The internet, maybe if you look at what the elasticity of a product like the internet would actually have in liberal terms, you would say, price doesn't really determine internet usage that much, right? If you can afford the internet, you buy the internet. It seems very odd to say that this isn't a resource. It's closer to a resource like water than it is a durable product like a smart fridge or a Tesla. So the normative outlay is that, the economics, it requires an explanation, and the explanation is that what the internet enables is about human nature, right? This is a technology product that's not like others. It's not cybernetic or anything like that. It's just, there's without getting deeply prescribing why someone uses the internet, it fits with our human nature, much like an apartment or a bag of vegan chicken nuggets fits with our human nature, apparently. People have gone crazy for those. Look how excited everybody is, right? Look how excited they are. Vegan chicken nuggies and stuff. So. Oh, wow, geez. Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed your time. Yeah. Underboss in the non-existent role from the internet and of the internet. Shout out to you. Yeah, shout out to you. Real men of genius, I hope you're recognized. It takes a freedom fighter to be so free and wonder where my time went. I find a girl from OnlyFans. She had a Fansly once. Yeah, but now she's playing Minecraft and Fortnite. Boy, you might be in luck. Don't get kicked off, don't get booted. We're on the internet. Maybe go ask Cora what it's like to bust a vegan nut. Hell yeah. Salute to all the internet veterans in chat. My name is Duck. On Discord, I was known as Duck McDuckstuff once. Duck McButtstuff. Hell yeah. Welcome to the internet. That's just the internet, bro. that's what trusts do. That's what the trusts do. That's global civil society, bro. Hell yeah. Shout out to the Gooners. West Virginia, country mama, take me home. Hey, Almost High, please never get more specific than that too. Shout out to you. Shout out to Virginia. Shout out to Almost High. And yeah, just a reminder, we do abide by YouTube's terms of service. We do our best. And yeah. Cool. Hell yeah. Yeah. Those who have served with dignity. Yeah. Hell yeah. 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 Before people discover that we don't need to go fight and die for things that we don't care about or don't know of, and do so with people we've never met. A lot of people like myself learn that big girls need love too, right? People of all make shapes and sizes. This is called feminism. Yeah, on the internet, this is called feminism. That it just is what it is, guys. And then other people learn that there's a lot of creepy people on the internet too. Yeah. All kinds of stuff. Yeah. So that is interesting. People want to create propaganda in the word of Slavoj Zizek. Well, it's cool. Well, in a liberal state where you have free speech, I can leave a little toothpick this big, just the tip of the toothpick, even the middle part, doesn't have to be that drastic. And I can say something like, well, why did A16Z invest in zero waste apartments? Cool. The Chinese government is doing that too. Cool. My job's done, right? I'm not a social engineer. I'm not trying to social engineer anything, but there is a fact that needs explaining, that when you can invest in AI and software, someone invests in these zero waste apartments in the US. Yeah, and this is just a free market billionaire. Nobody talked to him. No one asked him to do this. He founded some stupid website back in the day, and Microsoft or someone bought it. And yeah, he became an investor, and so he did this thing. But yeah, explain that to me, right? It's not about ideological struggles, but if it's not about tolerance and it's about who's better, who's winning, it's about what multipolarity is. It's like, cool. Well, I don't want to have the conversation where old Uncle Sam says, grow up, right? No one needs that conversation. And you'll say the same, grow up, be more efficient, right? You can't solve your own problems. Cool. This is why it's better to avoid those types of topics. It's why it's better to not invoke petty men like Donald Trump in order to act like a Cerberus, right? Like a brain dead Cerberus, right? This hound of hell. You let Donald Trump off of his leash. You feed him his dog food. You let him off his leash, and then he's going to go run around and make a mess. But it's also like, right? It's in the most condescending way possible. It's like like this hellhound who has brain damage or something. So he doesn't actually absorb information. He doesn't learn anything. He doesn't make judgments based on his sense data. So he's like a mythological political failure, right? A mythological political failure. And from the perspective of liberalism, it's like, cool. Well, if that's what, like, that to me, it's like, cool. This should preserve a space for people to form a motive as well as a motive and factual opinions. You're allowed to say facts exist. You're allowed to say that there are facts. You're allowed to say that facts don't apply in the way you think they do, if they even apply to, right? How is it the case that saying there's only two genders is truth apt? There's only two genders. Okay, cool. Is that truth apt, right? It appears not to be, because there's many people that say, well, I disagree, and it's a different number. And they're part of this population of people who would not hold that there's only two genders. And people may say, well, there's two, there's three, there's seven, there's 19. You can't put a number on it. Or there is no gender, right? It's a made up, there's no metaphysics of it. There's no metaphysical concept of gender. These are very stupid ideas to see on the internet. Yeah. They get mad, explain. Yeah, it's not football, guys. This isn't meant to be a football channel. You know, it's not meant to, we're not playing football here. We're not playing football anywhere, right? Nobody. And so if you see someone that may be a debater, they're an online internet debater, but you don't know that, like, guys, go read job postings. If you guys need to apply for a job this weekend, find 5 or 15 minutes, apply for a job, see how it feels. Or if you need to meal prep, find the 30 minutes to go meal prep, right? That's a huge ask, telling someone this is how you're going to spend 30 minutes of your time, right? But I do think there's a shared role where you guys help me grow a lot. You guys help me a lot. But I also recognize that you guys are people outside of being an audience here. And your favorite streamers, right? When you guys are super chatting your favorite streamers, you guys are super chatting your favorite streamers as a human being that you want to see those people be successful, right? There is this shared responsibility. And it's weird because I've never met, like, maybe it's the most clear when you do see someone who does OF and live streams, right? There's this girl who's been in Playboy. She does fitness content, and then she has a subscription page for adult content, right? And it's like, you know, she is someone who, it's like, if you want to watch her work out, but I cannot imagine a world where she is like, you should be here for 6 hours. You should also be gooning and stuff like this. It's like, no, because the people that want to see her paid content are just going to buy it anyways. That's probably how that works. It's a little closer to that, right? She doesn't have to prove something to you to prove the product is good. You can buy it and then cancel it, right? If you don't want it. But it's also the case that, yeah, her brand is not a totality of being able to buy the content she left out there. And this is true for me. I'm also a person, guys, right? Like, I don't want you guys to feel compelled to spend hours and hours and hours here if there's no value. If you guys feel like there is just, again, that surface level relationship, I recognize you guys are people outside of PFPs and tags. I also, as a streamer, I can focus on that a little bit, and then I focus on the proposition. I focus on what you guys say. And as personal or whatever it is, like, a lot of the work I do, because I appreciate you guys, is people goes back into editing. It goes back into how frequently I stream, when I close the stream, stuff like that. So who knows? That's my own opinion on that kind of stuff. But yeah, people on the internet are still people, and the internet isn't a real thing either. The internet's just a made up thing that we use as an excuse, like a lot of other things, to learn, right? To learn, to go fast. And yeah. We have an interlocutor who says 2 genders only, unless you're a comforter. Unless you're a comforter, says someone in chat. Your message got blocked. Yeah. Intersex, not gender. Yeah. Yeah. So. Interesting. 2.7%. Yeah, very low unemployment in Denmark. Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's always interesting. Wealthy European states, small European states produce amazing indicators for democracy. And then you also see places like Italy, where there are indicators of strong democracies from time to time. But then you see the rise of nationalism again. Then you also see indicators of economic decline alongside, right? So it's interesting, the scope, right? You can think in terms, the level of analysis of a city versus a country. These are all important things too. Yeah, and these are, if you guys do not have a degree in political science, you might wonder, what would you use to study a city versus what would you use to study a country? You know, could I say the telecoms industry versus, if it was a city, I would say, well, this is maybe a city with a telecoms presence, right? You don't have the telecoms industry. It's different. In ways, it's bigger. It goes beyond what you are in reality. The blobs, whatever the blob shape might look like in your head, and then whatever people do for it, whatever their actions are in politics, these are things that at the end of the day become important to political scientists and social science, for social science. Hey, $10. Hey, cheapest pack of cigs, $5.50. Oh man, Underboss, I feel bad. Yeah, if you're chain smoking and on YouTube, like I'm chain smoking my vaping on YouTube, man. Yeah, I've smoked a $5 pack of cigarettes before, 20 cigarettes. So you know, what that comes out to, around about 25 cents a cigarette. Not cheap, right? Not cheap, but boy, that tobacco is harsh. It can be dry. It's not always, you know, it tastes like something funny got, you know, they're like, hey, this might sit on the shelf for just a touch longer. And who knows who these guys are? Yeah, not a fan of nicotine, even though I use it. Yeah. So expensive cigarettes, when if you're curious, like the expensive cigarettes are about 12 bucks a pack, anywhere between $9 and $11 a pack. For like American Spirits is one of the brands of nicotine sticks. They're not great, right? Rather buy lettuce. Hey, what up? UNGOC, great to see you. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Yeah. And yeah, and so yeah, but anyways, yeah, just what I was gonna say was, yeah, cigarettes can be expensive and they like last longer. You smoke less of them, or it's just the brand you smoke in the U.S. But yeah, cigarettes are gross. Cigarettes are gross. So is vaping. So cool. Test page of Almost High. Test page of Almost High. I think I pay like 9 cents for. Wow. Yeah. Wow. What up? I was just testing it because you said it. You said I could page you, so there's the verb form. There's the verb form. A great verb, grammatical. I had no reason. I had no meaning to page you. The meaning was I read a message, and so I was attaching a truth statement to your message about paging you. And that's just the start. That's just the start of this mod gig on the Ducks Y community, on the Ducks Y show. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close the stream out, I think. Great to see you guys. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all the engagement, everyone. Maybe we'll go back to geopolitics. Self-promo time. New shorts, full HD, AI clips, entertaining, guys. Last one got 1,000 views. We have over 30 likes in less than 24 hours. We got over 25 likes in the first 2 hours. It's really good content, I think. So if you guys want to show some love, yeah, if you guys like the content, you don't think of it as repetitive, you see it as informative, you see it as me adding my opinion and stuff like that to it as well. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Go support it. I'd love doing these live streams. If you guys want to send super chats later this month, later this week, later this month or something, feel free to do so. And don't feel obligated, guys. Yeah, thanks so much for coming to the channel and show, and I'll see you guys later.